Welcome
Welcome
to Timeline Talks.
to the Timeline Talks.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live in Technicolor from the beautiful Hollywood Hills, California. The show where the total retail price of their advice is $0. This is Timeline Talks.
Oh yes, get ready to strut your stuff, get ready to get down on the catwalk as we start a new little feature of Timelines Talk, something new. We're going to do fashion track, and I need to readjust my layer here. Oh my word, I'm a mess. What we lack in style, we make up with our fantastic guests tonight. Thank you very much for joining me, as always, stars, and always dressed for the occasion, Shy. How are you guys doing on this fine Wednesday?
I'm feeling like I need to get a uniform. I don't know which one I need to get.
But
between
so
you
hot
having
here...
Disco and the Monster Maroon, I need to get something. Maybe I should get Discovery Season 4. I think that would be a decent compromise.
I got one of those.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's easy to wear as well. It's basically just a jacket with like a little clip-on collar. I'm doing well. I am extremely glad we have Shy on because he is a noted sartorial genius who turns up to every one of our tabletop shows with impeccable fashion sense. So clearly, between the two of us and our t-shirts, we need someone with actual style and grace.
Well, thank you for having me and overwhelming me with praise. Appreciate it. You don't have any uniform pieces, Stars?
I'm sure.
No, I don't. Do I have anything? I have nothing. Not a Star Wars. I have a Thor costume in that thing there, but it's a really shitty one from like a Comic-Con maybe 10 years ago.
Red alarm! Red alarm!
Thank you for joining the
Red
Verge,
alarm!
1701. Thank you very much. So we're going to go through and do some... We're going to objectively rate. It's a flawless system. We have been using it for months and months.
Brokering no arguments.
Exactly. Honing the technique down to determine which is going to be the best uniforms or best outfits in Star Trek. And this week, because I feel like we'll probably do this again at some point, but for this debut episode of Fashion Trek, we're going to stick with the standard Starfleet uniforms through the era. So we'll be starting from Enterprise. We go all the way through to Discovery Season 4. Now, apt warning, there will be spoilers for the uniforms in series you haven't seen, such as Strange New Worlds and Discoveries, but we won't be doing any plot spoilers, so you can watch it and go, oh, I've seen that uniform, or if you really want to be surprised, just, close your ears, close your eyes, whatever, and move away. But yeah, there'll be no plot spoilers, but we will be showing uniforms and outfits, but we'll be sticking for the basic ones this week. Now, Stars, please take me through your tried and tested, absolutely 100% foolproof formula that we shall be using tonight to objectively rate these uniforms.
Yes, absolutely. So I was talking with Idle about this. We had to sort of like narrow it down to what do we think are the 5 or 6 categories. You've got to be empirical about this, right? You've got to be able to rate it out of... I think we went for a scale of 5 in the end. So, our criteria are practicality, style, continuity...
Gotta say it like that.
Style. Continuity, variance, and then best worn by. Now, as you can see, all of these are incredibly objective. There is no subjectivity here. And I'll just go kind of run through, generally speaking, what these categories mean in regards to uniforms. So, practicality is kind of the boring one. How practical would this be to use on an actual starship? If you're crawling through a Jeffries tube, if you're doing your warp core maintenance, if you're like cleaning gunk out the holodeck waste processor, how practical is it to wear this uniform? So you can already start to imagine how some are more practical than others. Style speaks for itself. There is, big goals in just how stylish some of these uniforms can be. Some of them are literally just a jacket with a tie. Some of them look so stylish as to be gorgeous on screen. Continuity is one I think is kind of underrated. This is how well these uniforms stack up in sort of like between what's gone before and what goes after. Because sometimes you get radical changes, other times you get a really nice seamless transition into the next thing, and that's an underrated part of a good uniform, I feel like. Variants, we give extra points for uniforms that have a lot of variants that allow for different ways to be worn, for different, if you can get a lot of mileage out of just one uniform if you wear it in different ways. It's like wearing a particularly good bit of clothing. You can use it in all kinds of different outfits if you're smart about it. And then, of course, the best worn by is a case of how does this look on the worst person who wore it? How does this look on the best person who wore it? And how does that sort of exemplify the best that this uniform can look? Because some people look better than others in certain uniforms. Let's not lie. So that's our empirical rating system.
And Shai's showing us all up here, looking the best of us all.
Yeah, well, he's a 5 on every scale.
Yeah. I would be wearing mine, but it's incredibly hot here tonight, so I would be sweating buckets.
Yeah, I'm doing my variant on the TNG version.
I was going to say
without the turtleneck because it is August in New York.
Well, that is one of the variants we'll be talking about tonight, and I'll have some pictures up in a moment. So I think I've got about 22 different variants as we go through of just the basic uniforms. Things like dress uniforms, casual attire, or different things like the commander wraps. We'll go through there'll be a different rating or a different category, and then we can compile at the end and say which looks the best. Or we can have a category for things like Jake's civilian outfits, because he has a whole wardrobe just by himself. Best Ferengi clothing, but tonight is just...
Best known as the bus seat collection.
Yes. It's going to be basic uniforms tonight. Just start off. We'll start with the classic. So without further ado, shall we take it all the way back? I've got to make sure I've got the right thing open here, which I've got a feeling I haven't, but we'll find out. Let's take it all the way back to the Enterprise era, and my layout is all sorts of broken, and that didn't work at all. So let me... Hang on. I think I may have screwed it up. Oh, there we go. Right, 2150s. There we go. 2150s, the Enterprise uniform. How do we feel about this one? Yeah, there we go. Another one.
Right, you got your best ones, Lieutenant Reed.
I think
this is an example of some low-cost cosplay, obviously.
Wow, look at him.
This is just
look
like
at
a
him
dull
try.
shirt. Yeah, exactly. Look at me try. So, continue.
So Enterprise uniforms from the series Star Trek Enterprise first debuted would be the earliest recorded uniform we have on record that we've seen. I don't think we've seen any uniforms before this. I don't know if the first flight uniforms are different. I couldn't find an image of them.
No, they're the exact same, because you see Archer in the Commander stripes, and it's the exact same. This is the earliest known Starfleet uniform there is.
So how do we feel about these variants? Bearing in mind, like when Enterprise debuted, this was a huge departure from anything previous to Star Trek uniforms. They're very sort of simplistic, almost like we talk about practicality. They're very practical, aren't they?
I think these will probably come out on top, if not the very top of the practicality ratings, just because these are basically astronaut jumpsuits, and that is intentional, given that Enterprise was originally pitched as, for the first season, we're not even going to leave Earth. We're going to be all about the construction of the ship and training and the formation of Starfleet. That all very quickly got jettisoned, and you can only see bits and pieces of it in later episodes, but you can definitely see the jump from a NASA uniform, like something that you might wear on the ISS, to something like this. It's also notable as one of the few Starfleet uniforms I can think of that has pockets.
It's got to be... Did we say 5? 5 or 5 on the register, or was it 10? 5 or 10?
Let's give it a 5, because it's nice and simple. 1 to 5.
I think practicality, that's a 5.
With a 0 referred for real bad cases. Yeah, I think this has got to be a 5 for practicality.
Go on.
I have to give these a 4 for practicality, because I know people work in jumpsuits and dickies all the time, but the fact that you have to unzip your entire top and zip all the way down in order to use the facilities. I know in the future, in the 23rd century, they will just beam waste material directly out of your body. But transport technology isn't as developed in the 22nd century. So,
do you think
I would not trust a 22nd century transporter to get anything out of my body.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, in the 32nd century, they've just completely forgotten how to put on clothes? Like, it just beams them on them now, and they just get to a pair of trousers and go, what do I do?
Oh, yeah.
Where's the nano button? Where does it zolve around me?
We're not quite in Wally territory yet.
Yeah.
You're taking note of all these scores, by the way, Idle, yeah?
Yeah, that's fine. I've got my notebook. We're fine. Cool. So... Yeah. So 4, I can agree with that, maybe. I could also say, like, when they go to the decon. Decon's probably their most practical application of how difficult it'd be, because they've got to take the whole thing off, gel up, and it's a bit of a hassle. They could at least made it a 2-piece, so I could see a 4.
What were you going to say, Si?
Oh, I was just gonna reference an old Saturday Night Live sketch where a soldier is trapped in a house on the battlefield, and he was raised in the Midwest, so he's never encountered stairs. So his entire troop is trying to go up these stairs, and he doesn't know how to use them. So he keeps throwing himself at this staircase and unable to climb. That's what like putting on clothes would be like in the 30s.
Just throwing them at self like, well, this isn't working.
Forgot. Yeah.
All right, that sounds like it's a 4 for practicality then. Style.
I can concede that. Style is where these ones fall apart for me. You know what I will say? I love how much the division colors pop against that dark blue. They made a good choice with the dark blue, just because, especially the gold pops really nicely. I like that they went for a really light blue for the science colors, and even the red, like it contrasts really quite nicely. I'm happy with like that, but it's not fashionable. There's nothing fashionable about this.
Absolutely not. Dave, would you be seen dead in them, Shy?
I absolutely, I think I would, because while not practical for going to the loo, a jumpsuit hides all manner of
Appendages?
insecurities.
Oh,
yeah. Mustard
You know
stains,
what?
exactly.
Yeah, you know what? I actually have to say we have to put it at a 1 because what we have not got included here is the Enterprise ball cap, which I feel like automatically
true.
downgrades us to a 1. Not quite a 0, but so dorky.
The Archer
See,
variant, yeah.
By the way, viewers, I was not informed of this format or at all coming into this. Had I been informed, I would have shared a jumpsuit photo shoot I did years back for a magazine called Nerd Night, the magazine, where I modeled various jumpsuits.
Were any of them decon gel down, or
no? They were not. But
If they used it in the field with your leg up in the
actually,
air, or just like you know, in various photo booths.
so I might have a bias. I might have a bias towards
Okay.
jumpsuits, but
that's fair. You know what? I will give these also points for the fact that I think we see Trip like pull. I think you can pull it like part of it off and have it like to worn around your waist, right? Yeah. I always give points if you have like an underwear that looks comfortable to wear, because like as we'll see later on, some of them have like these like really stiff, uncomfortable looking undershirts, but this looks like you're wearing like a vest and a pair of pants underneath. That's relatively comfortable. I could see myself like, especially if I had to do some work on like the first Warp 5 engine, I'd be like, you know what, that's fine.
So bearing in mind what else we've got to talk about, do you want to give this a 2 for style? I still think it's on compared to other uniforms. I think this is still on the lower end, but
I'd give this a 1. I can think of a 0 that's going to be upcoming, but I'd give this a 1.
no, I'd give it at least a 2. I actually would lean towards 3, quite frankly. I think this is like the midpoint, but yeah.
Okay,
but
I'd
go 2.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll put that as a 2. Continuity.
All right, fair
no, this
enough.
is going to be a
I'll
tricky one because this is the first uniform, and it also came after Voyager, so we haven't really got a continuity back to there. But we've kind of the only continuity I can think of is you do keep the division colors, but it is kind of the progenitor of all things to come, isn't it?
We have to give it points for them remembering that TOS had the different division colors.
Yes.
As Cisco says, command officers were gold, and operations officers were red, and women wore less in TOS. I also have to give this points for continuity retroactively, just because, as we'll be seeing, Discovery and a few other uniforms follow this same through line and keep it consistent. So it kind of retroactively gets points for me. I also think it does get points for continuity just because, like we said, it's very harkening back to that NASA feel while still being recognizably more of a Star Trek uniform. I'd give this probably like a 4 in terms of continuity. Like, I think it's strong. It makes sense as a progenitor for a Starfleet uniform.
Yeah, and when you look at the higher rank versions of this, they already exceed other Admiral attempts at Admiral uniforms.
Oh, Admiral Uniforms is another conversation.
Yeah, that's an entire show. That's an entire show we've got lined up. You know what?
Yeah.
I'll also say I appreciate the continuity in the rank pips. Because if you notice, there is never anyone who is a lieutenant junior grade, and there is never a lieutenant commander on the show. I'm pretty sure no one's ever because there's no black pip.
Yeah,
She's
true.
a full commander.
She is full commander by the time she gets into Starfleet, isn't she? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I never noticed that.
So that they keep that consistent with TOS, where you very rarely saw a lieutenant commander, and you only ever saw a full bar lieutenant, not lieutenant junior grade. So I'm going to give a point for that as well.
Wow.
They actually thought about that.
I'm going to say
I'd give that an easy 4 for a
an
continuity.
easy 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Objections?
Yeah, I'm happy with this. No,
No, absolutely. Especially because of the harkening back to the early NASA days. It really.
Yeah, like we can give Enterprise endless shit for its intro sequences music, but the actual imagery is a very good way of putting you in the right mindset for what this is aiming for.
Yeah. Okay, variants. I mean, there aren't really any, are there? They have this...
There's the Admiral variant,
Yeah,
actually.
true.
Which is one of the few Admiral uniforms I actually really like.
Right, exactly.
Because it has the white and the red, and then he's wearing the suit tie underneath it, and it just looks smart enough that I'm like, yeah, that feels like an evolution of sort of like 22nd casual wear, but it looks... I don't look at it and I go... You know when Culber was wearing that black suit in Discovery Season 2 and it just looked really out of place among all the Discovery uniforms? Like when he was decommissioned for a bit? Like, that looked really jarring, but the Enterprise Admiral uniform always looked pretty strong. But I do feel we have to dock this one because it doesn't have a lot of variants, really.
Yeah, the Admiral uniform has that 50s, 60s NASA look with the tie and the
Yeah, I never even considered that. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, you know, I feel like the Admiral uniform brings us up to at least a 2, maybe a 3.
Okay. Sorry, yeah, I'm not going to be showing the images of the conversation. I won't be showing images of anything, but I think when we talk about variants, we're just talking about all different variants. The Admiral's one specific one, so we'll do Admiral's uniforms as they are, you know, in a ranking system on their own at some point. But I can see a 2 for variants.
The variants one is part of the conversation, but it's like, we'll be, like you said, the Admiral is an entire other thing.
Yeah. Okay, 2. What was the last one? Best worn. Who best wore this? I think Mayweather's looking at the image on screen. He's pretty smart in it.
Yeah, Walt Koenig stumping for Montgomery there. Like, he got the shoulders to fill it out.
Yeah, Mayweather's pretty jacked on this show. I mean, this whole cast, like, went to the gym before the show started shooting. You have to hand it to them.
Kind of had to.
They knew decon scenes were coming up, and they were like, "Well, no carbs for me," and they just went to town. Yeah, Mayweather.
You know what? I think the worst worn by has to be T'Pol. Because while I love whenever...
I was about to remember T'Pol, but you're right.
Because, like, I love it whenever you get the obligatory sexy female character. Like 7 of 9 gets to wear a standard uniform. Same with Troy. Like, I find the jumpsuits so demeaning. Like, they're just so, like, blatant and, like, desperate. And I usually really like it when you get that character in the proper uniform, but it really was not designed for Jolene Blalock. I don't feel like it kind of suits her frame. And while I'm not a massive fan of the overly sexy cat suits, there's just something about them that is kind of iconic. Especially for Jolene Blalock. She did wear them very well.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
For Enterprise, we have a final score. Oh, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to tally these all and do a final score. So we have given Enterprise 12. Yeah. 12 is, I don't know whether that's respectable or not, but that is certainly the first score. Okay, let's go on to a different era. Jumping ahead a little bit, we have a lost era where maybe some different uniforms, we don't know, but we're going to go over to Discovery uniforms as they were worn in seasons 1 to 3 of Star Trek Discovery. Practicality, gentlemen.
Oh, the score is out of 20 or 15? Max score?
20.
Out of 20, okay.
20,
So 12 out of
20.
20, that's not too terrible. Yeah. Oh man, Discovery looks so good. I remember first seeing these when they were advertising this. I remember thinking that is a sharp-ass uniform. You still have some of the Enterprise issue of a little bit too much blue, but it just looks really good. Like, especially about something about the division colors just makes it pop. Especially the gold and the silver. The silver looks so sprightly on it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, we're on Practicality right now, so.
Oh, we're on Practicality.
They're okay.
I might have to mark them down for practicality, actually, because I remember everyone who's worn these, especially Jason Isaacs, said that wearing them, like, you creak a lot, and they are very tight.
They're a little tight. They're cut a little tight.
And not to mention, it's like, I remember it's in Discovery Season 3, Episode 2, when you see Stamets crawling around the Jeffries tube, it's like, these are fine, but I can easily imagine that you're going to get your very pretty division colors, like, parts of that is going to flake off, you're going to get crap all over it, and it's not going to look quite as good, so I might have to mark it. I might have to mark it down for practicality.
Did we ever see anyone take their Discovery jacket off and just rock like the pants and an undershirt?
Yes.
Yeah,
Stamets did. Right? He took it off so that Adira could wear it.
When Booker gets dressed in season 3, you see them putting on the uniform, so you do see there's like an undershirt as well.
So while I would judge this from an actor's standpoint as being lower on the practicality scale, I assume that in the future this material is some magically synthetic.
Oh, you see it being
material
replicated, don't you? In one of the episodes, I forget which one it is.
Yeah, you see Burner
like one of the
makers.
early ones, you see it being made. It's
that doesn't creak. That's super comfortable. That wicks perfectly. So I'd have to give it at least a 4 on practicality because you have the 2 pieces. You have the 2 pieces. It's not a pullover. It's a jacket, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
I have to give them points whenever you can like cinch down the zipper so you can be a little bit more relaxed. Like I appreciate, and I imagine that's really good for the actors as well because it can imply a more like Reno, for example, almost always had her jacket like zipped all the way down or like unzipped a little way, and it can tell you a lot about a character. That's important for a uniform if it can tell you something about the character just by how they wear it. Especially for an engineer like Reno or Stamets. I just give it a 3 on practicality personally.
I think I have to go with a 3 as well. I mean, I'm going to knock everything for not having enough pockets, but this is one of the offenders in an era that should have had more pockets. But
I was thinking a 2, but Shy managed to talk me up to a 3.
I think I can go for a 3. I think a lot of our conversation is going to be a style, so I think that's going to be a 3 for our style. Now, can I dock it because I love how they look? I can dock it on 2 points though. One is you can't see the ranks easily. You have to really squint at the badge. And the second is the division colours are like different shades of bronze, silver, and gold. Like they're not clear enough for me. That's probably where I bring it down.
The only one that's not clear for me is the operations. I can easily confuse command and operations by looking at them. I can't like silver is just so bright. I can never confuse it. But
is that a style point or is that a practicality? Is that a practicality point?
Oh, I don't know.
I feel like it's a style point. It's part of the composition.
Okay. All right.
We'll go with the part.
I mean, I thought these uniforms right out of the gate were beautifully made.
Yes, they look really good.
And Cranky has a point. The shoulders do show you what the ranks are, at least for Captain and Admiral. Yeah, because if you notice, they're filled in for Captain Admiral to indicate Flag Officer, which I really like. That's cool.
Thank you, real fan Cranky, for pointing that out.
Yeah, why aren't you here?
Yeah, and I love these uniforms, and I say that as someone who hates a slim leg fit. Like, I have thick soccer legs. Slim leg pants do nothing for me, and these look great.
I also have to give them mad props for the boots. There's something about them where they look really comfortable, but also stylish, and I love the deltas up the side for for buckling up. Like, I think that's a really nice stylistic point. And also, this cannot go below a 4 purely because the medical uniform exists. The medical uniform is gorgeous.
It is quite nice.
Yeah. Are we adding in all the uniform variant, like medical uniform? Can we count the jogging uniform?
I think we'll save that for
love
variants.
Those disco shirts.
Let's save that for variants with the medical one. But I would say for the basic uniform, the blues with the stripe.
I have to mention it in style.
Yeah. We'll get to the variants. I think we kind of sound like we're a 4 on style. I think I have to agree.
I'd agree with that.
It doesn't.
I also appreciate the Admiral's badge. I thought that was a nice way, again, being able to differentiate a flag officer. But yeah, they pop really well, and I feel like that's an understated thing because especially Discovery, it's a lot of darker, grayer sets. They are not like the TNG, the Love Boat style yacht paneling and stuff like that. It's metal. And it's hard to make uniforms pop against that, but they pick just the right shade of blue and just the right uniform colors that you can look at someone and generally speaking, you can generally tell what they're about, which is important.
Right. Right. Discovery's not trying to sell color televisions to its audience.
Yes.
So
yes.
it didn't need to like have high contrast colors.
Fantastic. Okay.
We've got to go for a 4 on style here.
Continuity. I think this might be a 5 because this transitions perfectly from the Enterprise through. You know, got the same almost sort of like transitions from a jumpsuit into the two-piece. This colour's the same. We've got the kind of evolution of the trim. We've got boots as well. So it comes from that practicality to not quite, you know, on the journey towards a suede jumpsuit.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Do you have the Discovery Season 2 TOS uniforms included in that?
I do indeed. Yes.
Okay, good, because that's an important part in the continuity. That's
Absolutely.
really important.
Yeah, especially when Pike comes in the second season, the continuity is very clear.
Yeah.
And is that what's draped over your chair right now?
Yes, this is the Pike.
You can tell because it's got the asymmetrical collar. In fact, how do we feel about the asymmetrical collar? I kind of like it.
Hold on. We're getting there. We'll get there.
Oh, no, I know. All right, fine.
It's present on the Discovery one as well, isn't it?
Yeah. The Discovery.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Bugs me a little bit, but I often, once I've watched it a bit, I don't notice it after a while, so... Certainly bugs me.
No, I dig it. Like,
you have to be like...
It makes them look a little bit dashing. Like, the asymmetrical thing gives it a little bit of personality it otherwise wouldn't have, I feel like. I like the asymmetricality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I dig. I didn't even realize there was a jumpsuit variant.
Short sleeve, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah,
cool.
the short sleeve jumpsuit. 5, continuity. I can see it.
It's seamless.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely
agree.
believe these fall in. I could believe these were used for like 100 years. Like, if you told me they, like, 20 years after Enterprise, they went to these and they kept them all the way up until Discovery Season 2, I'd be like, yeah, no, I believe it.
Yeah. All right. Now's your time to talk about the medical variants. Different variations. The jumpsuit, the medical.
So many good variants on this show.
Yes.
Yeah, no, like, there's so
you-
many good iterations. The
Do
show
we
you
even
go,
count-
I've been...
Do we even count the Terran uniforms as a variant that come in midway through season 1? Because they are fire. The
are
Terran
awesome.
uniforms on
so-
Discovery are
beautiful.
spectacular. But
I
if that's a separate
That is a separate thing,
I'll
because they
respect
are
the game.
Mirror
Okay,
Universe uniforms. There's so
Yeah.
many different variants, so many different styles. So that has to be its own episode. Because
Walt says the
you
non-skirt
absolutely get
variant.
points.
Yeah, non-skirt variant as well.
Yeah,
That's
you
really
get a
nice
skin. Nice.
Yeah.
I'm
If
always
we're counting-
appreciative when you can have either a skirt or a trouser. Like, hearing Rebecca Romaine talk about that in relation to the Strange New Worlds uniforms made me kind of appreciate that as a choice. And that kind of retro-futuristic vibe, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah,
just- it looks so good.
decent options in here.
Do you see a
Both casual.
4 or 5?
medical.
I'm not hearing any negatives on
I
any
give
of the
it a
variants.
4.
I would say...
I'd give it a 4. Yeah.
Okay. I think the
Yeah.
medical being white is stunning, pops, but I always think white for doctors to see all the blood is just doesn't look good.
Yeah, but that means that if someone has like an injury but they can't see it against the uniform, you touch them, your white uniform is red. It's like, oh shit, you're injured. That's a really easy way of telling.
And if it's xenobiology, if it's like a different shade of blue or purple
Okay.
or green, then you'll be more readily able to identify what species.
Yeah. In fact, you know what? We were talking about how these are special space age uniforms. Maybe it has like some degree of like, you know, like blood testing in it so that it goes a certain color at a certain chemical comes into contact with it. Why not?
And
Why not?
they have Scotchguard 5 on them. It's like written on 5.
What does it mean when it goes blue? It means he's drunk. Okay. Not again.
That's right.
So your one's
funny.
always blue as idle.
Yeah. Before we go to the final score, who does it look the best on? And I'm going to throw a controversial opinion out here. Saru. I think Saru looks really good in these.
Oh, that's
Through
true.
benefits from the massive platform hoof shoes. That really helps his silhouette.
Doug
Pike's
Jones
controls.
is a amazing physical specimen. Pike wears his variant very well. I'm gonna go with Culber because Culber's
He looks so good every time.
Wilson Cruz is just jacked.
He's so hench.
Wilson Cruz is
sensing a
just in a
theme here.
constant. He's in a constant Marvel movie audition.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna have to go for the obvious choice, Burnham. Burnham always looks good in this uniform. I really appreciate her in like the sort of the shorter hair she was sporting toward the end of season 1, but also with the braids. There's just something about it when she's in command of the Discovery and they're going for the Tikal, the seed ship. There's just something about the combination of the uniform and how she's wearing it and the confidence. It just like she just pops in that scene really well.
Listen, if your uniform doesn't look good on your main character, you're doing something wrong.
Well, yes, that's also an attitude. I also think Tilly looks quite good wearing it. Like I know people have like been like, less than body positive, but like I think it actually looks good on her. She suits it. Everyone feels confident in these uniforms, although maybe not so much when they're acting in them because apparently they creep like a motherfucker. But
you might win me over on Saru here. I don't, but I'm being swayed by the character design.
Yeah, I might save the argument for the Disco Season 4 uniform for Saru as well, but we'll get there when we get there. That sounds like we kind of talked about everyone just looks good in this. There's no single standout.
Twitch with Jay says worst was Giorgio and Prime or Mirror.
Yeah, there's a difference. Well, not much of a difference.
No, I disagree.
Yeah,
the hair I think like she was wearing. Yeah, she looks great in anything.
I would say Anthony Rapp does not look great in.
Yeah,
he always seemed a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. How did we not talk about the tactical armor?
That's going to be another conversation.
The best EV suits.
EV suits is another episode. I said there are so many different EV suits. So we'll get.
Oh yeah, Cornwell wears it really well actually too.
Yeah,
I guess she wears it.
Everyone looks
That's
good
why it's such a good uniform, because everyone looks good in it.
Okay.
You're right.
Now for a throwback. So, by the way, that scored a 16, so it's already above Enterprise. So
we're very hot on Discovery.
We're hot on Discovery. It's gonna be so much rage when we like rate the TNG one like a 2 or something. Okay.
I don't feel like we will, but let's see how we go.
Let's go to the classic era, the Cage uniforms. And I'm trying to keep this as canonically sequential as possible because the Cage uniforms were kind of being worn at the same time as the Disco uniforms. So yes.
Yes, because we see Lieutenant Giorgio and she's wearing a Discovery era uniform, so it must have existed side by side.
Exactly. And you have the image in Stranger Worlds of Pike standing next to April, and they're both wearing the same color collar with the and this one also went through to the early TOS as well, although there's a bit of a continuity
where no man has gone before. One has gone before. Yeah,
we'll get to that in a minute. But yes, Cage uniforms, which there are. There's a difference. There's the male ones, and then there is the female ones with the sort of the high collar, well, the sort of the weird kind of folded over collar thing. I
always thought they looked a bit odd.
So Cage uniforms.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they reshot this pilot almost immediately and switched, and even after they reshot it, because of course they air it out of order. So we see these kind of uniforms in TOS, like in the 3rd or 4th episode. But there's a reason they switched over, because these uniforms are they're like a holdover from a previous era of science fiction, the sort of Forbidden Planet era. They're fun, but they don't work for me.
Yeah, okay, let's
talk. They had a budget of $8 and it was the 60s.
Yes, this is literally someone's jumper. But practicality. What do we call this on a practicality?
They look comfy.
They look comfy. I can believe that that's warm on a winter expedition. I don't know how great it would breathe on a desert planet. It looks like it would be quite warm. I don't know. I feel like you could scramble through a Jeffries tube relatively easy and something like that, and you wouldn't mind it too much.
I might catch a collar though. It feels like that collar's going to be very hot. Like that's gonna rub. Like the male version.
I think they were. Yeah, they were trying for a nautical feel. These kind of feel like those cable knit, fisherman sweaters.
Guess it's a knitted sweater.
Don't go out without your sweater, Pike.
Who's that? Is that Pike's mum?
His mum.
Who's a cockney?
He's Pike's mum. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. Don't think about it. Don't think about it for even a moment.
I would so laugh if, like, Stranger World Season 2, we meet Pike's mum. She's like, "All right, son, how you doing?" He's like, "Oh, for God's sake."
And it's just Anson Mount. It's Anson Mount in drag. Like, he would do that in a second. Anyone who watched the season of Stranger Worlds, he would chew that scenery.
He'd put on his best Dick Van Dyke and just go for it. Yeah. Practicality, I'd give this a 3. This is a solid 3 for me. I can see it. I just don't feel like it's versatile enough to really be good for any environment. You know, it's sort of good on a starship, good in a winter expedition. I feel like I would be dying if it was weather like it is today, where it's warm, it's humid. I would hate to wear this in a uniform in an environment like that.
It kind of sounds like a 2 to me, because if there is a fault, if it is going to be, say, if it's going to be too warm, if the ship's going to have to be air conditioned the entire time, that sounds like that's. But then again, they had these.
True, but it's mitigated by the variants. It's mitigated by the fact that they do have uniform variants.
True.
Let's assume that in the 23rd century, they
don't just open the windows.
Breathable. Yeah.
All right. We'll say for a 3 then. How about style? I want to say this is a 1 because then.
No, it's got to be at least a 2 because the turtleneck, the tactile neck, as popularized by Sterling Archer, it's a good look. There's a reason why this is still the basic structure of a Starfleet uniform. It's still essentially this. It's just that, like, it doesn't pop quite as strongly because you don't have the third color. And on against the set, you need the high visual contrast. And these are also a way more muted gold. These are more sort of like a mustard almost, or a light brown almost in certain lighting, like depending on I think Yeoman Colts is like a little bit darker. It just doesn't quite pop quite the same. The blue looks nice. I like the blue.
Yeah,
and like these drawings, these illustrations are even a cheat because they've adjusted the color in these these uniform illustrations here. Like on camera, they were very drab. Yeah. But Stars is absolutely right. These are the basic foundations of what ended up being a classic. So you have to give them some credit.
A 2 then. A 2.
I think we give them a 2. Yeah.
Now, tricky one again, because again, this is like you say, this is the genesis of everything. Continuity. Now, if we were jumping from Enterprise to this or Disco to this, it's kind of a bit of a weird outset.
He is a weird outlier. I feel like it is helped by Discovery Season 2 sort of establishing that, like, Starfleet kind of has this trend of having multiple uniforms going at the same time, which has always been a vague fan theory, but, like, the newer shows have basically hard confirmed it between Lower Decks and Discovery, showing actual crews with just completely different uniforms running around. And I feel like that helps mitigate the fact that it is, it is very different to both Enterprise and Discovery, but you can't blame the originator for being different to what the prequels do, just because they knew better about how to correctly color balance their uniform. You know what? I have to give it at least a 3 or a 4. A 4 probably because a lot of the Strange New Worlds established that these were still canon. It didn't try and pretend they were always the TOS uniforms. It was like, no, that was a distinct uniform variant.
I give you more 3, personally.
Yeah, I give it 3. Give it 3.
Let's go with a 3.
Right,
Yeah.
We'll assume that the 3rd episode of TOS was like Throwback Thursday when all the crew it was just like, we're going to put on our old uniforms. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, before they get thrown in a meta synthesizer.
Okay, how about variants? Now, there's the main sort of big variant is Yeoman Colt or number 1 sort of uniform, the female uniform, as it were.
Well, you also have the jackets, which I appreciate. The awaiting Susan jackets.
Yeah.
Which I quite appreciate. Like, it's just like it provides that a much needed visual contrast. It's just, of course, they don't wear them on the ship, so you don't get it all the time, and it feels more practical to have that kind of thing. I'm like, I find it really ironic that the Cage has those jackets, and then almost nothing does all the way up until like Discovery, basically, when they finally remember, oh yeah, having an outside jacket for putting things in pockets or having a degree of armor is nice,
3? 2? 3 or 2?
It's a 2 though, really. Yeah. There's only those so few variants, and they are not too visually distinct. They're all the same essential thing worn slightly differently.
Yeah, I'll see a 2 then. Shall I?
It's a 2, but it's an asterisk 2 because they only had the 1 episode to really present variants.
Well, 2 if you count the TOS early where no one's come before. Yeah. Okay, so who looked the best? I'd like to throw.
It's gotta be Pike.
Do you think?
No, Spock.
Spock was pretty good. I kind of want to go for Yeoman Colt purely because they've done recently, the Roddenberry Foundation have done a kind of like remake of the Cage Bridge, and they've got this actress to do who looks the spit of Yeoman Colt to sort of walk around the bridge in this sort of virtual set and do this kind of thing. So I realised that actually that sort of title uniform looks quite good. Like it's quite a sort of effective little design in an era where they were just like, find a jumper out of the bin, that'll do.
You can kind of see where they got the idea for that asymmetrical, big, like notable collar for the Discovery thing from what she's got going on there.
Exactly.
Oh, how are we even having a conversation? It's number one. Like, think of her art and timelines with
now,
the.
see,
I think she looks great.
Picture of number one.
She does look great, but is it the uniform or is it the hairdo? Because her hair is like perfect as number one.
I just googled the number one. I
Pilot.
just got a terrible.
And her eyes are just like, with that black hair, her eyes are just piercing. So are you being fooled by the hair or the costume?
It's the ensemble package. I mean, she does. You can't deny she does wear it best. Like, of everyone in the pilot, she pops the most.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, that's true.
I may have to give it to number one.
I'll give it to Majel.
To the Majel, the queen of Star Trek herself.
Right.
Yeah, I would say.
But she gets a jacket variant, so.
Oh yeah, and the goggles. I love the goggles. The goggles are such a lovely touch.
The goggles, they're
very Willy Wonka.
Right.
So you see what they're doing, Mike the TV.
So it is number one. Okay. Ooh, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's scored a 10. It's our lowest rated. Our lowest rated so far is in fact.
I mean,
10.
for your first attempt, strong.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's perfectly in the middle. That's where you want to be, isn't it? Right.
Yeah. But the advanced standard by which all others are judged.
So next in the continuity, and hopefully all my images should be in order now. I don't know why they weren't. What we call the Disco Prize, the Enterprise uniforms as featured on Discovery Season 2 and some of the short treks. Overall thoughts. I love them.
They pop.
Yeah.
Their colours are so bright.
I love the tunics. I wasn't crazy about the fit on the pants. Because I love the flare on TOS pants. Like the little billow out.
Oh, you mean the bell bottoms a little bit?
Yeah, the boot cut. I like the boot cut on. See, the slim cut thing does not work for me on these uniforms. They work for me on the Discovery uniforms because it's a single color and it sort of evokes that jumpsuit feel. But here it just feels like hipster American apparel.
It's the style at the time, unfortunately. I don't know, like so. Oh yeah, hey Evan Connolly, I forgot that you were existed.
But the jackets are amazing.
Yeah, no, the jackets carry this 100%. Like the boots, I think are nice. I think the boots are a nice touch. Like they look utilitarian. They look like sturdy. You could walk around like an alien planet for hours, and these things will still be comfortable. The pants are a bit lame, especially because, let's be real, the best pants we're going to be talking about the entire thing are the TOS movie ones with the stripes. If you can't glam up your pants, what's the point of being in space, you know?
I think when we get to it as well, Something Strange New Worlds did better as well, but we'll get there in a minute.
Damn
what
right.
are you wearing? If you're not wearing those, do we need to know?
What's that?
No.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Okay, practicality. Reasonable. They're at least
What
adjustable.
did we rate the
openable.
Discovery one? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever we rated the Discovery one.
We gave that a 4. We gave it a 3.
I feel like these are at least a 3 because they are essentially the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with the 3
You know
on
what?
these.
You could up it because this was my argument earlier. It's easier to distinguish the divisions.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, that is actually a good point.
definitely more practical uniform.
And they do actually have the rank cuffs. Now, they fucked them up on the first thing. They had
that's
to fix
true.
them with VFX. But you do actually have the rank cuffs, so you can tell at a glance who is an ensign, who's a lieutenant, and who's a captain, which is better than the Discovery pip system, even though that's arguably more informative. But yeah, this does immediately pop better.
I'd say, yeah, a 4's good.
Yeah, make it port 4. Yeah, actually, yeah, you've convinced me.
How about style?
Dude, they look so good.
They're so good.
That
I'll
red,
give 'em a
especially.
4.
There's something about that red that just pops.
They do. The
Gotta be at least a
collar
4.
offs
Yeah,
is
4.
something that gets me sometimes. Like going from, we'll talk about Stranger Worlds in a bit, but the Stranger Worlds uniforms, I feel I've grown more accustomed to them, and they work better because the collar isn't as prolific. It does
Aggressive.
Kind of like
Yeah.
not as aggressive. Someone mentioned in chat earlier, it looked like a Skycap. Hey, Skycap. The proportions are wrong. They look like motorcycle jackets, and I kind of agree with that a little bit. Yeah, they are very sort of.
I don't mind it
padded.
as much on the Discovery uniforms because they blend in more with the uniform, but here, because it's black against really high contrast, you do notice them immediately. And it's like, sometimes that's nice, but I feel like it does go against some of the style of the uniform to have it pop quite that hard. Yeah, maybe pop it down a little bit for that. What did we say for Discovery?
We gave it a 2.
Really?
What?
We gave.
What?
Oh no, sorry, I'm looking at Enterprise. Discovery, we gave a 4. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong
It's like-
score.
yeah.
Discovery gave 4. I'd probably say 4 for this as well. I remember seeing the first time, kind of going, "Yeah, that looks good." Like at first,
3.5. I'm gonna
we're going
pop a
points.
0.5.
Wait,
Ooh.
are we
Because of
allowed
the
to do
collar.
points?
I don't know.
Are we
You did
allowed to
say
do
a
decimal points?
Yeah, we might as well be on 10 tier rating at this point. We'll have to redo it again. Let's stick to the 5s. Keep it to 5.
How
Pick
much
a
do I
side.
dislike the collar? I think the colouring just being so gorgeous, I think outweighs the collar. I think it has to be a 4. What about you,
4.
Shy?
I give it a 4. I don't mind the collar. I prefer this collar to the Strange New Worlds,
Okay.
Club V.
Yeah, it's very casual wear, isn't it? These
Yeah.
do look a bit more like a uniform, as it were.
True. That sounds like 4. I would say 3, but I'll go with the 4s for now. Continuity. I think it's a stunning continuity. I think
It's got to be a 5.
Yeah. They brought back the rank. Like you say, they brought back the rank bands as well. I think that was the first time we'd seen that since TOS. We hadn't seen it any
Since TOS, we
Yeah.
had never seen it after, because the TOS movie ones don't have it. It's all indicated by the braid, really. You do have stuff on the cuff, but I think that's only for flag officers.
Yeah, you have it in the Kelvin verse, but
Uh,
I think, but not in Prime Universe.
No.
First time we
yeah. Yeah, it's got to be a 5 for continuity. Like, these are an effortless blend from Discovery to... Like, it makes you realize just how close the Discovery ones were to the TOS one, but all you have to do is just change the color, and so it's like, oh, they are just TOS uniforms.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of a mark in the Discovery uniforms' favor, that you can just change it with just one change, and suddenly it's like, oh, they're TOS uniforms.
Yeah.
They do look a bit tight, especially
Yeah.
on Spock there.
No, that's just Ethan Peck.
Ethan's pecs, yeah.
but
Ethan Peck's. Okay, how about variants? There's not a huge amount of variant to these uniforms. There is pretty much the colour, and you see in this one, Nan is wearing the skirt
That's
version. That's about it. So I'd probably mark this down for variants.
We only had it
Yeah.
for, like, what, 4 episodes?
right, unless we're
much,
counting the EV suits as variants.
Yeah.
You're right. There's almost no variants aside from them being 3 distinct division colors.
Yeah.
Just say
I feel like we had to give them a 1.
one.
No, a 1. There's
A 1.
no variance, really.
Well, no,
the
I mean,
skirt is
Nan-
the only thing.
You said Nan has a scant, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one. So that stops it from being a 0, but otherwise it's like we... Again, this is the Cage problem of only having a limited number of episodes. It would have been interesting to see what an Admiral uniform would have looked like with this, given what the Discovery ones look like.
Yeah, that's true. We never saw an Admiral version of this, did we?
Yeah, because Coleman was wearing the Discovery style uniform.
Okay, how about who wore it the best?
Colby Pike.
I think it's Pike.
The gold.
Yeah, it's
He just looks...
of course it's Pike. Every time he,
It's what-
it's like
It's like a sun walked in the room.
It's like they tailored it with his arms behind his back, like standing with his legs slightly wider than shoulder width.
Okay.
I know the exact picture you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Nan, like, she wears it so well as well. Like, that
Yeah.
There's something about Rachel and Cherry's face just, like, frames it perfectly. And the skirt, even though I don't think of Nan as, like, maybe, like, traditionally feminine because she's, like, security chief, she's quite brusque. Like, something about it just works for her. She just makes it work. She's working it. Connolly looked worst. Mostly because he was actually seen dead in it.
Yeah. He was the Welshie
That's a
of the
great
group.
bit.
He was who's that guy from Star Trek 09 who's just like, yeah, I've got the explosives, and then promptly dies in the fire.
Oh, on the sky jump.
Yeah.
On the Halo jump.
He's
He's like
he
an
always reminds me of
engineer or a
Connolly.
security officer. Yeah.
Pretty much the same ending. They both got a bit cocky with their jumps, didn't they? Okay,
Yeah.
so Disco
Yeah.
Prize gets a 14. Not as good as the Discovery Universe, apparently, according to us. Surprised me. Okay.
Hampered by the lack of
Discovery's
time. Yeah.
Discovery's type, yeah.
Wow.
It had 3 seasons to breathe. You can't understate that.
Very true. Okay, not those ones. The Strange New Worlds uniforms, the variation of.
Now we're gonna have to have a fight here, Shy, because I love these uniforms.
I like these uniforms, but you know what? Don't tease a Nehru color. Just do the Nehru collar. This is ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
will they never learn? Like, I'm gonna skip ahead. Next generation just had like a plain no raised collar for a season, and they're like, this was a horrible mistake that we've made, and they instantly added a raised collar, and they've made the exact same mistake here. Just because everyone on this show happens to be super pretty and looks good in these uniforms doesn't make these good uniforms. The black triangle, like they were trying to do like a space ghost costume or something. It doesn't work.
Oh, I think it provides a really nice visual contrast because, like, if you adjust the blue or thing, it would look odd, especially with the lack of a proper collar. But having the undershirt not only implies that it's like, hey, I can take this off if I need to, but it implies like, I don't know. I feel like it helps tie the uniform together. Like I don't know. I like it. I don't find it distracting.
They have mock turtleneck T-shirts, right? It didn't have to be just a T-shirt. It could have been like a slightly higher collar, and that would have been a better transition continuity to the Kirk TOS.
You're not wrong. You're very much not wrong. But these do look more comfortable to wear than the TOS uniforms. I look at this and I see comfort.
I'm thinking practicality now. So yeah, comfort's a big one. I think everyone just looks more at their own skin in these, apart from maybe the shoulder pads, which are maybe not necessary for a uniform.
Yeah, the shoulders are a little bit severe, aren't they?
Yeah.
Shoulders are too severe on these costumes too, right? Exactly.
And this is why Pike's been getting the Johnny Bravo kind of comparisons with the hair and the shoulder pads. I think that's not helped spread them.
He is a very pointy man in this uniform. It all points toward the hair.
Yeah. You can really tell that the shoulder pads are too extreme when they do. And spoiler alert, kids, there's going to be a episode 10 spoiler alert right here. When they do a variant here, I'll try not to spoil it too much. When they do a variant of these uniforms from the future, the shoulder pads are extremely evident. And that's in a variant that is supposed to have shoulder pads. Like these have this has shoulder pads, but it doesn't. Yeah, it's a little extreme.
That's fair. Yeah, but in terms of practicality, especially when I take into account Kyle's jumpsuit, and I also have to give points to Chapel's kind of jumpsuit medical uniform. Those look incredibly practical. Like you see Chapel running full pelt through the thing, and she looks like she's. If I saw someone running like that in a TNG uniform, I'd be like, "Madam, you're gonna destroy the uniform. It's gonna tear into shreds, like the Flash is wearing it."
Please stop.
But I look at her running. It just looks comfortable to wear. Like this, I could wear this all out and about. The tunic also. I thought the tunic looked exceptionally comfortable. That looks really nice.
Actually, again, medical is another one we'll go to, because I think between Beverly Crusher's lab outfit and Mbenga's version, I think we will have a series. If we do this again, we'll have a series on medical outfits as well. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, well, they wisely made the tunic longer, so it doesn't have that motorcycle jacket effect. The tunic extends the way that the TOS tunic extend over the belt line, whereas the Enterprise Pike ones were shorter, more jacket-like, more motorcycle.
So what are we saying about practicality here? Because we've been quite generous on practicality for a lot of these.
I think it's got to be a 4.
Yeah?
It's not the most practical in the world, but I feel like he gets extra points for having a lot. We've only had these for one season, and we've already seen a lot of like variants that I could see being used for incredibly practical reasons, like Kyle's or like Chapel's. Like I could see these being used. And not to mention, you also have to get points for the awaiting jackets and the tactical armor we will see them wearing in episode 4. Like, I'm personally give this a 4.
I'm having trouble finding clear picture of the pants.
I don't think they're quite as bad as the Disco Prize ones. I think they're a little bit more forgiving.
Okay.
They've got some good boots.
Yeah,
and I know the
I'll go
boots
with
are quite
4.
nice.
A 4 as well. That sounds,
Like a
yeah,
nice
okay, that
boot.
sounds like 4 around then.
Yeah.
I may lean 3, sorry, but I'm a 3.5 on it, so I'm going to have to say 4. How about
You'll round up.
Style?
I'm a little
Alright,
surprised
Shy.
that they didn't stick with Roddenberry's sort of rule of not showing zippers. On
It's been such an annoyance for costumers to have to try and follow that rule. And I think the last time you followed that rule to its full extension, it was what? Either you nearly destroyed Patrick Stewart's back, or you made it so that no one could go to the toilet without a 3-person extraction.
Yeah.
Like, just have fucking zippers. It's just easier. But I think, are these pullovers?
I think they might well be. The
No,
basic
I
ones,
think-
the scants are zips.
yeah,
Well,
scant
the-
zips.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, pullover always loses a point of practicality. So I'm going to actually give these a 3.
Interesting.
A 3 for style?
Because this... No, are we still on practicality or are we on style?
I know we agreed 4 on from practicality. Do you want to say a 3
Oh,
on
you guys
practicality?
gave it
Because
a-
I may join you on 3
I'm
on
giving it
practicality.
I'm giving it a
If
3
you wanna
on
go for
practicality.
3. I'll go
Because-
for, yeah.
Oh, I'll
Because-
concede to you. The 3s have it.
Okay.
A pullover is okay if it's a stretch material or like a cable knit material, like the TOS velour, or even like the cage nautical sweater. But
You're not wrong.
this
Yeah.
is hard to get on. But style wise, yeah, 4 definitely.
Definitely.
It's an easy 4 on a style. Like, the only thing I think that knocks it is the fact that we have seen them so often, so our eyes are kind of inured to this. Like, these are just basically TOS uniforms updated. But there are
Now,
so
bear
many
in mind-
nice little touches.
Yeah. Bear in mind, I'm giving this a 4 based on the medical uniforms and the scants, not on this V-neck
Okay.
crew T-shirts.
How about continuity? I think it's a 5 for continuity. I think
It's gotta be a 5 for
meshes
continuity.
as well.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, that's easy.
Although, there is a little bit of a disconnect between the Disco Prize and these. Because you've gone from a jacket to a pullover. Like, the
True.
medical uniform is essentially the same in terms of, like,
Yeah.
Chapel's... Like, Chapel looks like she walked off the Discovery, but Mbenga's looks very different.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because it's the same. You know, if you were to say, "Oh, we're doing this uniform next," if you were to put them in a time, if you didn't know nothing about Star Trek and you were to put these all in order just by how they looked, you would say, "Oh yeah, this one next to this one, they must have come the same place because it seems like an evolution." The designer's gone, "I'll just tweak a few bits here, and here, and then we'll send them off to the replicators for everyone to wear."
Yeah, Cranky also wants to mention the seams, like the ones that are going up the sides. I originally thought they were very odd, but then I realized that they do provide kind of a nice visual contrast and a bit of texture to it. Same thing with the embossed uniform divisions that go up and down the shoulders, which I actually kind of
So
like.
much bling.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that it's 3D printed means that you don't have to worry about people individually sewing those, which
Yeah,
is, that
true.
would be horrific.
Okay, how about
Yeah,
variants? Go on. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just say that pattern on the uniform divisions on the shoulders works on when it's a single with these colors.
Yeah, because it's not too distracting, I don't feel like.
Later in the series, it does not work on the previously mentioned.
You have a
spoiler stuff, but,
you have a very strong opinion on that uniform.
We do. We'll get there.
Variants, I feel like we've
Yeah.
got to be at a 5. This has got so many good variants, and like they all blend relatively seamlessly with each other. The only one that looks a tiny bit odd is Chapel's, but even then, that's only because we've seen it being worn on Discovery, and we know that it's technically a different style. But even then, like I look at it and I know immediately that it's like, yeah, no, these are all part of the same ship, as it were.
Benga's got the
Yeah.
kind of the wraparound, you know, the very functional the wraparound, the scants, and they don't, I had this complaint about Strange New Worlds, like, what's the decorum for which uniform Uhura or Number One wears, because they seem to go between the pullovers to the skirts, or, they seem to just chop
I know
and
that
change,
it bugs you that happens, but I feel like that's a sign of a good uniform that you can switch between them depending on what you want to do.
So yeah, I'm happy to give it a 5 for that.
Yeah. Skycap says that the side panels for shaping are a giveaway. These uniforms probably don't have much stretch and are probably pretty uncomfy. I haven't heard them say anything about how it feels to wear in the show, but I would be curious to know how they are to wear. They do look rather tight, especially like if you look at Ethan's pets, as you want to do. They do not leave much to the imagination, which is not something you usually say about a pullover shirt. No.
This is the Shatner Girdle territory soon, isn't it? For those that haven't been keeping up. So we saying 5 for Variant?
We've been one season. We've seen 5, 7 different variants.
This is definitely 5
absolutely.
variants. Yeah.
And I have to give a shout out to the Command Rep. I know we're not going to talk about it, but I have to shout it out. I also have to shout out the Admiral Uniform, which is like the third shade of blue that you get, because you get science, you get medical, and then it's a third shade of blue, but I immediately look at what April is wearing, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's an Admiral, because of the use of the blue and the gold. And that's a nice unification with the Discovery as well.
Yeah, it's a carry-on from the Discovery Admiral Uniforms, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. I did not like the Command Wrap, because I think it also had shoulder pad, extreme shoulder pads going on in the Command Wrap uniform. But otherwise, the costuming is spectacular.
It's impeccable, really.
Who looked the best? And I would love to come up and say, Uhura. Whichever variant she wore, whether it was the straight one or the scan, she rocked it. Like, absolutely looked stunning in it.
I'd go with Chapel.
It's hard.
Chapel, interesting.
Chapel always looked really good. I actually really like how Mbenga wore his uniform. Partly because whoever was doing his hairstyling, there's something they've done a really good job in Strange New Worlds of blending 60s hairstyles. Like you see with Una very especially, which she's brought in the buns and the various different looks. But there's something about the way Mbenga's hair is styled that I look at him and it's something about him and the combination of his like facial structure. I'm like, that is a 60s movie star. Like I look at that and I think Sidney Poitier kind of thing, and it's like he just suits it. There's a natural confidence to Babs' performance that he feels comfortable in that uniform. That being said, I might actually say Ortegas.
It's
really comfortable.
Yeah.
That's a good call. Let's see.
Ortegas always looks really comfortable in the uniform. She doesn't look uncomfortable. It's partly a case of like Melissa Navia just being really strong in her own presence. But yeah, Una looks amazing in the tunic. I think she looks way better in the tunic than she does in the standard shirt, which she wears for a few episodes. Something about it is, again, it's that retro future 60s thing without being a throwback. It's just, it feels right. And I do also love the meta joke of, we're going back to the 60s, the 2260s.
Okay, moving on. This is our highest score so far, by the way. We got 17. Not far from perfection.
Not far.
Excuse me. Right, okay, the next one. The classic, the one that started it all, essentially, at the TOS uniforms. The red, gold, and blue, the one that everyone refers to, that is the model for pretty much everything that come after. Excuse me, fighting some... Oh, my dinner's coming back to haunt me.
You're all good.
Time has moved on. We are over 60, nearly 70... How many years has it been? 60 years? 70 years? 60 years.
60 years.
Yeah, nearly 60 years.
60
Since these uniforms debuted, like, I still think they can't. I go up and down on them. Sometimes I'm just like, they're a bit basic. But then now, since we've had the Disco Price and uniforms and Strange New Worlds, there we go. Are we going to get the catwalk strut? Can we get some music going? And now on the floor.
I'm too sexy for my scant. Too sexy for my scant. I feel like these have time going against them in their favor. That being said, it is hard to iterate on kind of perfection because these uniforms immediately communicate a division, style to a degree. You can immediately look at these as this is a 60s show. You don't really think that this is like a modern show, but that's fine. It works in its favor. It is distinct.
Is it the lack
it
of a
immediately
background?
says, well, that also, and also the way that the actors look. Like you look at the Forrest Kelly, it's like that man's a man from the '60s.
Yeah. He should be in some westerns.
I also appreciate them, for a million westerns. I appreciate the fact that you look at these uniforms and it immediately communicates, this is not hard sci-fi. This is not Forbidden Planet. We don't believe in spacesuits all that much. We want to go onto the planet. We were interested in the talking bit and the thinking bit. We're not interested too much in the rest of it. We want to have a good punch-up and a good shootout every now and then. But it's mostly about, here is a vision of the future. And I feel like I look at these and I'm like, that is futuristic. You know?
Interesting.
And I feel like on that, they immediately communicate a lot. So you can't pull that against them.
Okay, practicality. I think we kind of got to give it the same as maybe the Strange New Worlds one, because they essentially are, shoulder pads aside, essentially the same uniform, aren't they? They're the pullover with the trousers. And we gave that
Well, it depends.
3.
I'm keeping Skycap's commentary in mind in terms of the Strange New Worlds looking a little bit uncomfy. Shy, how was your TOS shirt to wear?
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Oh, it's incredibly comfortable. There were the two TOS shirts, right? There's this double knit, and then there was a stretchier velour they wore. They have this brilliant like hidden zipper that comes along the collar that zips like this. So it like slides down from the collar. It's just a super clever design, and you can't see this on TV, but the pants, which have that beautiful pleated flare around the boot,
I do like
to
that.
get it balanced. The pants are black, but they have this silvery thread through them. I only know this because the guy who did Star Trek New Voyages, James Cawley, is an aficionado of accuracy. It's like screen accuracy. And
For those not
But
aware,
yeah, they have this silver thread running.
You played Sulu, didn't you, on the New Voyages?
I was like their fourth Sulu on on Star Trek New Voyages.
Yes, but the best one.
But yeah, clearly. Just so much attention to detail, very very comfortable. You occasionally would have to do the Picard maneuver on the tunic.
Very occasionally.
When you're sitting in the command chair, but otherwise just incredibly practical. And it was great to. It's just nice to have like knee-high boots, like almost knee-high boots on a costume.
So I feel like I'd give these a point ahead of the Strange New Worlds one in terms of the comfort, at least practicality, because I tend to believe Skycap knows what she's thinking when she come about comfortability, and it's like having if Shy felt way more comfortable in this, I'm happy pumping this up above Strange New Worlds a bit.
I can see a 4. 4 works for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Style.
Man.
0.5 for me.
Ooh.
Okay, do we hold the fact that that's not meant to be yellow against these uniforms?
What do you mean it's not meant to be yellow?
It's meant to be green, isn't it?
Is it really?
They were doing
that
some
was why I
early
was always
color tests. Yeah.
Yeah, because the story I was told was that it's meant to be red, blue, and green, and the reason it shows up as yellow is because of the way that 60s color correction and filming works. Green shows up as yellow. Kind of like if you ever... There's an amazing behind-the-scenes picture of, I think it's the Munsters house, and how you have to completely fuck with the color balancing so that it shows up correctly in black and white. Because the objects you're filming in are not black and white, they're in color. But the colors still translate in black and white, so you have to be like bright pink and fuchsia and all these different weird colors. And so you have a similar kind of effect here, where that's, especially, I think it's at least in the first season, I think they did correct it toward the end of the show, it's meant to be green.
Right. Like if you look at this material really closely, it has a greenish tint to it. The double knit. The velour is very much like it was yellow. It was yellow.
Yeah, I feel like they definitely corrected it and were like, no, we're gonna just go with the yellow because that's what it looks like on the TV. But I don't know.
I don't hold it against them at all because
it set a precedent. Yeah, it set a precedent.
It does just work.
Yeah. Which made green.
I think it's got to be a 5.
You think it's a 5? Interesting.
If they had made it just straight yellow, it would have maybe seemed too cartoonish. But just being a little off.
Like, I look at any picture of, like, say, especially when you have the 3 division colors together, and they just they look right. I look at that and I think that's a Starfleet ship. Those are Starfleet crew members. It immediately communicates so much. Whereas, as much as I love Discovery uniforms, like, you kind of have to know a lot about uniforms to appreciate all the detailing that goes into them. Whereas, like, these are simple and they say exactly what they are, right? I think, and that is style. Style is looking at something and knowing immediately what is being communicated to a degree. To me, anyway. It's a statement.
Sounds like it's a 5. I'd say 3 to 4, but you guys are outvoting me, so I'm going to go 5.
You'd go as low as 3, huh?
I'm not a huge fan of them. I find them a bit simple. If anything, it is essentially a product.
Simplicity can be a virtue.
True. But I quite like, we said, talk about the Strange New Worlds and the trimmings and everything. I quite like the little bits of not outrageous detail, but just a bit of styling. Like you say, you know, the yellow embroidered against the yellow, or 3D printed against the yellow, sort of. It works because it's a subtle detail, adds complexity without being overbearing. Whereas I feel like these uniforms could have done with a little more of that. And also the patches aren't great. They look like they have just been stuck on with PVA glue. However, it was the 60s, so I'll let it off for that.
Yeah, I don't know if you know
There's
this.
a little
bit of trivia. The Strange New Worlds costume are based on the TOS costume.
Really? And well, speaking of continuity...
Yeah. Just throwing that up.
Speaking of continuity...
This got to be a 5.
I think so.
No.
Well...
Actually, do we knock off a point for the fact that nobody knows what the fuck they're doing when it comes to rank stripes?
I kind of think so.
No one has ever known what they're doing when it comes to rank stripes.
I also think it's a case of, we've got a new series, we've been commissioned, now we better put some effort into the uniform, which before it was, you know, we had the the jumpers from the cage, and where no one's gone before. So when we come from continuity, they were just like, okay, let's add a bit of flair and a bit more colour in and, like, really hammer down and make these look good. I don't know if that's a point in its favour or not. I'm not sure. But also, if we're talking about continuity, these would follow on from the Strange New Worlds uniforms.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like the continuity's straight there. So 4 or 5.
I would feel really dirty giving the actual original uniforms anything less than a 5 in continuity. I feel like I'd be doing them dirty.
Right. And I have to give them credit. This is sort of... I just have to give them credit for the update from the cage uniforms.
Yeah.
I'm going to add that under continuity because they're like, we like this kind of flavor, but we know it's not working. So let's go a little more bold with these colors. Let's streamline it a little bit, make it a little more form fitting. So I fully applaud that.
That's a 5.
Yeah, we've got to give them a 5 for continuity. Got to.
Here's where it may suffer: variants.
Actually, not as much as you might think. The formal dress uniforms for the TOS uniforms actually really work.
Yeah,
I really like the formal dress. Like, obviously, that's giving me a separate discussion because there's a lot of variants for that. But I feel like it does have to factor into this because they are recognizably the exact same uniform, but they do look formal and they look stylish as well. Even though I imagine they were made for like $5 and, like, you know, using a bit of carpet they found in James Doohan's garage, like, they look good. And I especially love the medal design that they go for the different commendations. I also appreciate the command rep. I appreciate the attempt at variation with the different, like, uniform patches.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
The wraparound.
And there was 2 command wraps, right? There was the plain one, and then there was one that had the gold filigree around the collar. So even the command wrap had its own variations.
Okay, so more than you might think.
And
they actually trade on it a good amount.
Bones had his Mbang uniform.
Yeah, there's surgical tunic.
Right.
And we had Kyle's jumpsuit as well. Yeah. The other Transporter Chief Kyle with the sort of the red and the black, that counts as a variant as well.
Right. And the judo tights.
Oh, man.
Kirk's judo tights.
Yeah, they count.
A little delta on them.
That's called Juduko. That was it. Juduko, whatever.
It's made up bullshit. Don't worry about it.
I feel like this is sounding like a 3.
I think 3 for variants. I think they did really well considering the costuming budget they probably had.
Yeah.
Sounds like a 3. Who wore it best?
Ooh, it's
wore
gotta
it
be
best?
Spock, right?
Spock
Spock
or
always
Kirk?
looks at home in these.
No, wait, it's Uhura.
Yeah, Uhura did always look fab,
Yeah.
especially with the miniskirt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you know what? I forgot about another variant. Chapel's sort of like white nurse uniform, which actually kind of pops nicely.
Yeah. I think Kirk, when he's not struggling with his girdle, looks good in it sometimes. When he's had a light
Yeah, I
lunch.
mean, yeah, it's either.
It's got to be
Chap-
Spock for me. He just looks upright and just purposeful anytime he's wearing
kinda
the
See,
blue
this
uniform.
is impossible, right? Because this original cast is iconic, so each of them
Yeah.
is wearing their uniform the best.
We'll go with everyone again, I think.
It's true. Yeah,
It is
yeah, everyone. Oh, you all winners.
So this is currently tied with the Strange New Worlds. They both have 17 points. So we're going to have to make a decision later on, which is a very tough decision. Okay, so switching universes ever so slightly, and we're going to have two of the Kelvinverse uniforms.
I was
to
wondering if we
discuss.
were going to get to these.
We will.
we're doing the
The first
Kelvinverse.
off is going to be the opening shots, the USS Kelvin uniforms. You know, when Kirk is being born in the openings of the 09 movies, and not that one, but this one as well. When worn by is it Mark? No, it's not Mark Strong. It's Krista Helmsworth, and who plays Captain Robot? I forget his name. Anyway,
And these are canon now, kids.
they are.
Thanks to
Yeah.
Discovery
They are.
season
This
4. So
this is prime. Like this Kelvinverse ones later on, maybe not, but these ones as they are in the Kelvin, this happened in the Prime universe, so this has to be accepted as.
Well, yeah, George Kirk canonically did wear that uniform, as also established by Strange New Worlds. So, I don't love
I mean,
them.
this. Yeah, later on in continuity, we'll be like, you get points for that. But yeah, these are not great.
Well, okay.
They kind of had the cage problem, but yeah. Let's start. We'll break it down in the individual thing because there's a lot of things wrong here. I have to talk about.
Okay, practicality. I think we've got
It's
the
an easy
first
force practicality, honestly.
kind of we've got the first kind of uniform that's tucked into a belt, which you don't often see. There's
Yeah, it's got a belt.
This looks like it's the undershirt of something else, doesn't it? So it looks like there's no stuffy uniform getting in
Well,
the way.
The Monster Maroons had a belt, but what you're saying a tuck? You mean like a tuck?
Yeah,
in the
like they're
pants.
actually
Okay.
tucked into the belt. It's not wrapped around. It looks like the belt is very much sort of
Right.
holding everything together. You can see on there George Kirk's com badge is hanging off it as well. So it's almost like a utility belt in a way. You know, they're using it as part of the practical function of the uniform. So I'd give it points for that.
Can you bring Captain Robau back?
I certainly can.
Yeah, it's hard for me to separate how cool Captain Robau is from how bad the uniform is.
Because here's where this is going to lose a lot of points for practicality. I can't tell who's the captain just by looking at him.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's very true. And they're blue.
Like, I'm looking at here and I'm comparing. Yeah, it's like, are you command? Are you operations? Are you medical? Hey, I've been shot. What? Can you help me? No, I'm in anthropology. Then why the fuck are you wearing the same uniform as everyone else? Ass.
Yeah.
Like, this feels like everyone forgot to put their proper division colours in the wash and they all just came out in their underoos, you know? It's like, it looks half finished to me. This, like, maybe a 2. Because they look like they're comfortable. They look like they're comfortable enough and
Are
that
we
they
on-
breathe.
Are we on practicality?
Practicality.
Practicality.
Yeah. Practicality. It's a 2 for me on a practicality because I'm looking at like George Kirk there and I can't tell that he's not the captain apart from maybe the badge.
Yeah, he's not.
There's such a thing as too minimalist.
They've got the
here.
stripes,
Like,
but
you look at like compared to TOS, like this feels undesigned compared to TOS. You know, maybe that was an intentional decision, but it just doesn't feel finished.
this is Thor.
Yeah, how does it make
Starship
Chris
down.
Hemsworth look bad? Thank you, Walt Koenig. Thank you, Walt Koenig. How does it make Chris Hemsworth look bad?
Okay, I think.
And he gives the
two,
performance of his life here.
2 for
I'd
practicality.
give it a 2.
2.
2.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll give it a 2.
Style. I quite like how they look, but that's just me. I think they look quite sharp.
You do like them?
I think I do. I think that these ones especially.
Shy?
See, that opening sequence is I don't like the Kelvinverse movies in general, but that opening sequence is
Same.
really great. So it's hard to separate.
That has that Enterprise B thing. If you could cut that opening sequence out, make it a short trek, and I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's not. It doesn't distract from the movie. Like you're not like, oh, look at that uniform. You're paying attention to the people's faces. So from a filmmaking standpoint, you're focused on the characters' faces. But style-wise, it's pretty low. This is a 2.
It's a 1 for me. What about you? Like, it's probably gonna be a 2 because I think you like them, Idle.
I like them more. I would put 3, but I'll settle. I'll arrange for a 2 if that's where it's going to bring it down to. I think if we're going to consensus, I'd say a 2. Okay, how about continuity? I want to break it a little bit for continuity. Like you say, you can't tell he's the captain, and the division colours are wrong. Like, this guy should be in a gold uniform, not the blue. So that breaks the continuity a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like these were designed with the intention of making the Uss Kelvin uniforms pop way bigger when they actually appear.
I actually realised I put this out of order.
But you sacrifice a lot for the uniform.
I've done this out of order. This should have become before Strange New Worlds. So this actually is around the Discovery era.
Right. Well, this is coming out of Enterprise era.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So continuity-wise, it works because it.
True. Okay.
That was my point earlier. These are direct continuity from the Enterprise jumpsuits.
You know what? If you put it like that, going from Enterprise to this, then into Discovery, or having Discovery as a divergent evolution of the same uniform, then I'm okay with it. It still looks a little bit unfinished,
and
but
I could see it being the gap between Enterprise and the Disco Prize uniforms, especially. Like, 'cause it's got the seam down the front.
Yeah, I actually... Yeah, I think give them a 3 or a 4 on continuity.
I'd give them a 3 just because, it doesn't hang together so much on its own merits, but Discovery kind of retroactively helped make them more legitimate in my eyes.
That's a 3. Variance is going to be probably a 0 because we only see 2 uniforms, essentially. We do just see Hemsworth and a couple of people in the background. Like, there's not a huge scope there. So unless you want to call it a 0 or a 1...
This has the least screen time of anything, so we'll call it a 1 because at least it doesn't have an offensive lack of variance, and at least the lack of variance makes sense. It's not like we had these for 4 seasons and never saw them do anything with it.
And who looks the best in it? It's got to be Rabau.
Yeah,
it's Rabau. Yeah, definitely.
He has the pro. It feels like it was made for him. It feels like Hemsworth was like, because he wasn't as well known back then. Maybe it wasn't tailored precisely for him, really.
Guys, we
I can't tell he's captain from the uniform, but I can tell he's the captain.
Just by the look in his eyes, you look like a captain to me.
Yeah.
We hate this one. It's an 8. It's our lowest rated yet.
It's just not finished. No, it's straight up unfinished.
Okay, now for the other entry, the actual revision, alternate universe, Kelvin films, where they actually settled on a design which they wore in pretty much all 3 films. I don't think they changed it much between. So
there are a few minor variations in Beyond, because they also introduced the away team jacket, which I actually kind of appreciate.
They raised the collar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they introduced the higher collar because every Star uniform is better with a higher collar.
Generally speaking, you're not wrong. And it did help it feel more TOS-y. Like, I saw Chris Pine in the opening sequence with the higher collar, and I was like, they've done something with the costuming here to make it intentionally feel a bit more TOS-like, and I kind of appreciated that touch. Yeah. There's a lot of that Beyond that I really like. Ripped shirts absolutely count as a variant. Absolutely they do. Wouldn't be Star Trek without a ripped shirt.
I guess that ups the TOS variant count at that point. Because how many ripped shirts did Kirk end up having?
What's that line in Galaxy Quest again? I see you managed to get your shirt off.
Right.
Talk to me about these. Yeah.
I really like the costumes in the Kelvinverse, actually. The reasons I don't like the Kelvinverse are character and story development and Asian erasure.
I agree with that.
But design
production value is there. Yeah.
Production value is definitely there. This is where they introduced having the little delta patterns embedded in the fabric. Like when you look at them closely, you can see the little Federation Starfleet deltas as a pattern in the fabric, and it really works. Like I don't think I even noticed that until I bought a Halloween costume version of it, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool."
Yeah, and I had to give them points for having accurate rank striping, unlike some of the Disco Prize ones where they fucked it up and then had to gradually fix it. In terms of practicality, these are practical enough. Again, it's like these are very similar to the TOS ones, just updated a little bit to be a bit fresher. They're not as divergent as Strange New Worlds, though. Like these are very differing takes on the same uniform.
Yeah.
Sounds well.
I'm going to give them a 3 on practicality because these are a full pullover. These are not. They don't have a little hidden zipper that helps you get in and out of the thing. So I'm going to give them a
You got
3.
the undershirt as well.
But you can keep it at 4 if you want. You can keep it at 4.
No, I'd probably say 3 as well. If we're going to go for the same reasons we knocked the Strange New Worlds one down, I think we have to sort of do this the same as well. Like, they're not as slick as comfortable as the TOS ones, and I think they'd probably be a bit more of a pain to use. So I'd be happy with a 3 for that.
I'll go with a 3 on that, yeah.
Kind of style.
So, to put these into context, the last bits of Star Trek you would have watched would have been Enterprise and Nemesis. And if you put them into context with those, I love the First Contact uniforms, we're going to talk about those in a bit, but in terms of a visual contrast, these, I've been saying it a lot tonight, but they pop. There's a reason why you go for the primary colors. Yeah, get you're going to be freaking like you're going to be absolutely intoxicated and complaining of alcohol poisoning, but I'm going to say it, they pop.
Yeah.
And especially against the Apple Store bridge, which has long been a target of parody, you need that visual pop. You need it even more than you did on the TOS Enterprise, because like seeing the bright yellow, red, and blue really helps make that bridge feel a bit more lived in and a little bit less sterile. So I think I'd give them a 4. I'd be okay with that. And I do like the Delta Touch, although I think it's a little bit overproduced.
Yeah, I give them a 4. Especially when you go into the variants on in this universe.
Okay, how about continuity? Does this fit the continuity well? Essentially, this is kind of the weird outlier because this is supposed to be an homage to the TOS films rather than this is the next uniform that Starfleet would wear. So it's a bit of a tricky one. I wonder if we're going to sort of talk about...
This has nothing in common with the Kelvin uniforms. Like the actual ones that they wore on the Kelvin. What does this have in common?
Yeah.
It doesn't have the weird stripe. They aren't even the same shade of blue for medical. The badges are now full metal instead of a weird outline.
That's true.
Even the cuffs look different. They don't look at all continuous with the... These look like they are sequels to the TOS uniforms, not to the Kelvin uniforms they're meant to be.
But it's 22 years later, so there would have been a Discovery-esque uniform somewhere in between. We just haven't seen it, right?
Oh, okay.
We just haven't seen it.
There would have been a Discovery uniform between Kelvin and...
I think unless we see it, we have to assume this is the direct upgrade. Like how many years did they wear the Wrath of Khan one? They wore that for like 60 years, so like it's possible.
Longer, I think. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, I think they could have gone straight.
We'll get to
that. Yeah. I think it's a 2, maybe. Like it's, I don't know.
I'll give it a 3 just because it is still a strong update of the TOS uniform, and it feels like but the lack of continuity with the Kelvin ones that it self-established are meant to be essentially the direct predecessor really hurt it, I feel.
I'll give it a 3 as well.
Okay, sounds like a 3. Variants. There's a few.
You get a lot of variants for these. You get all the formal dress uniforms in Into Darkness, which I hate, but the costuming is good. Although they are a little bit fascistic. I'm not a massive fan of how they look way more military than most formal dress. Like they're well made, but they especially the caps. I just don't feel like that's appropriate for Starfleet.
The cadet uniforms are really nice.
The black the black shirt for Kirk, I think, was a strong choice to keep him visually distinct from the rest of the crew in 09. Pike has a decent Admiral, one that almost looks like it's meant to be homaging the TMP uniform, almost. Yeah, and the Beyond variants are a nice update. I love the away team jackets they wear in Beyond. They're really nice.
Oh yeah, who didn't want? I really wanted one of those when that movie came out.
They look
all the
comfortable.
cosplay companies were selling them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd give this a 4 for variants. Actually, I think this is like over 3 films. They got a lot of mileage out of different variations on this.
Yeah,
and the ripped variants. We've got at least 1 or 2 ripped.
Who looked the best?
Chat is voting for Carl Urban. I find it hard to disagree.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana was a knockout in these, like, even though I hate the fact that she didn't have rank stripes because they had to keep bare the arms.
But that Zoe Saldana is like one of the most beautiful people ever to be on
It's cheating.
the screen.
Are you telling me she wear a bin bag and make it look good?
Yeah, basically. I mean, Pine looks really good in this. Urban looks really good in this.
You're not wrong.
Is this an everyone tag? Is this an everyone?
It might be an everyone tag.
No.
You know what? I actually really like Bruce Greenwood in this outfit, actually. Well, he looks really comfortable in that TOS outfit in 09. So I give it points for that. What are you going to say, Shy?
I was just say I give it to Urban, but that could just be because of his performance as McCoy.
He's impeccable. He's absolutely incredible.
Oh, okay. I sound like
oh,
Urban.
great! He's 17.
Yeah. I'll say Urban. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. Okay, we're now done with the classic era of Trek. We're moving into the films, and let's begin with one of the most controversial uniforms of all time: the motion pictures.
Fuck me, man.
Jumpsuit.
What was the previous worst uniform?
I think it was the Kelvin versus
Kelvin?
the
USS Kelvin.
Look at that. I mean, even better is the next one,
fuck
which
me.
less said about the man, the better. But my word, that's
like I was saying about the original pilot, the Cage uniforms. These are just from another era. Like they're somewhere in the 70s era of sci-fi. I know this movie was from the 70s. You got to push forward. You got to push forward a little. This is.
Do you ever think about the fact that this came out the same year as Alien? And how different of a view of costuming and sci-fi they are. Like, good God.
I just want to know, what was the function of the pod in the middle? What was that for? Did they keep their change in there?
Maybe it's meant to be an update. You know, I would have liked it if they'd kept continuity with TIS and they were the life support belts.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs something like that.
But,
it needs something to go across and cut across the onesie, really, doesn't it? And
yeah,
God,
a belt can
everyone's
do a lot
smuggling
to
in
add
this, aren't
visual
they?
contrast.
No
one looks good in this.
No one looks good in this.
This is practicality.
Practicality.
We can't shrink away from it in horror. We have to confront it. This eldritch awfulness that Roddenberry unleashed on us.
Kirk, so I don't have to look at everyone's
This
junk.
is a 1.
Yeah,
This is a 1.
it's a practical.
This is
Really,
a 1.
they are a jumpsuit, but
They're not a very
you
good
get
jumpsuit,
docked.
though.
But
Do
it's
we
not
go
even a
to
loose
0 because
jumpsuit.
you can't pee?
That. Oh, mind you, I was going to say no pockets, but this guy has a pocket in his right. There's actually something attached to his
single
uniform,
pocket.
but
Do we give it a 0 because these guys couldn't pee or go to the toilet without needing help?
Say it's 0.
I mean, they get the 1. I mean, are we doing 0 to 5, or are we doing
We
1
can
to
do
5?
0. 0 is an option.
I think a 0 is appropriate for these.
Yeah. Good lord.
I'd give him 1 just because Kirk's is a 2-piece, and
Okay, yeah, that brings that to a 1,
Okay.
but barely
Alright.
a 1.
Barely a 1. Just edging into 1. Let's go to
like
this
I
one.
like this shirt. I was gonna use that shirt as a pajama shirt when I was planning on making
Nice.
a Captain Sulu like fan series. I was gonna have him
that
like
would've been
sleeping
cool.
in that shirt, but
That would have been good.
That would have been good.
Style. Actually, these are 2-piece uniforms. There's a lot of different uniforms.
Kirk's
in this
uniform is doing a lot of heavy lifting here because I'm struggling
Yeah.
not to say 0 just because of the colour tones.
The colours are bad. Like, there's all different shades of beige.
Spock looks okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got one of Spock, but
I
Spock
haven't got
looks
one of
alright in
Spock,
this.
but I will get one now. Hang on.
Man, it looks. I can see everyone's dick. It's so bad.
yeah, like they
We
couldn't
mean
afford
everyone.
dance belts. Like buy some dance belts for your cast. This is ridiculous.
Just trying to find Spock.
Yeah,
Where is he?
these are 1 or 2.
Okay, the image I found of Spock is not smuggling, so we're okay. Yes, keep it, please. Right. Let me bring that up on
I
screen.
mean,
I
I
might
love
give it-
Spock's
there we go.
black outfit that he arrives in.
Yeah.
That's
That doesn't. That's a different thing entirely.
Yeah. So
That's
Spock has
Vulcan.
the
Formal wear always looks amazing. Whether
Yeah.
it's Enterprise, Discovery, or anything, Vulcans always look fly as fuck. But
Spock's has the
Spock
pocket.
looks
He has a
okay in
pocket.
it.
He looks alright. He
But
looks
that's
the
because
best.
he's
pocket.
Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy, like Doug Jones as Saru, just looks good.
Yeah.
in like science fiction genre uniforms. He's
It's
gonna
true.
look good in whatever he's wearing.
He's got the severity of the face that makes the uniform work around him. I'll give this a 1 just because I do like the detailing on this. Like, it has the opposite effect of the Kelvin badge, where it was like just a boring outline.
Yeah. Okay.
This one actually has a filled-in delta and an actual Starfleet uniform like logo, so it's not the worst, but there's enough details here. But
Continuity, I think it's got to be a 0. Apart from the blue
It's a
and
0.
Scots uniform, there is nothing else that just flows in any of this. This is designed from like, we're making a new Star Trek. We're making a new show completely.
it's a 0, absolutely a 0.
Yeah.
There is nothing like it, and thank fucking God.
Although I do
Well,
appreciate...
hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. We might have to give this a 1 just because of how they made the Wrath of Khan uniforms.
I don't think we can
Are
give
you
it a
familiar
score because of it made another uniform look good.
No, but no. I mean how they physically made the Wrath of Khan uniforms.
Yeah, they dyed them,
Where-
right?
For budget's sake, they dyed these uniforms for the rest of the crewmen.
Cadets, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the crewmen. And so those red with the tan top uniforms are these uniforms just
Right.
re-dyed. So
I think that's
You gotta
continuity
give
after
her
the
one
fact,
for-
though. I think if
one
you were
for
coming to see
Khan-
motion pictures
Well,
for
what
the
do
first time, after having seen like Strange New Worlds and the original series and Discovery, and then coming and seeing this, you'd be like, this was the choice that they made.
Going from TOS to this and then to what's coming next.
Yeah.
This is like TOS and the one coming after, like we're going to be talking about in a moment, and we're going to be gushing about. There's nothing contiguous. It's a 0.
it's amazing that this same movie has the Enterprise refit ship
Yeah.
design. And it's like there was never a production meeting between all the department heads.
Probably wasn't. It took them 20 years to make
It's
it.
like, what are you doing? What is the ship going to look like? Oh, just do your thing. I'll do my thing.
What color are you making the hallways? All bland metallic silver? Cool. I'll go with cool pastels and browns for the uniforms. Thanks, Steve. Fucking hate that guy.
Who? I mean, this is a stretch, but who looked the best? I think it's probably Spock. Spock or Kirk? Kirk in his full uniform actually didn't look bad.
Kirk in his
gun show.
70s leisure suit. Yeah.
Oops, wrong button.
Kirk got a little gun show action happening with the.
Yeah. Kirk
What
didn't look
was
bad.
You know what? You know who looked okay in her uniform? Murderer Rand. Murderer Rand.
Oh, let me see if I can pull that up. Hang on.
Uhura actually suited this okay,
Yeah,
I thought.
But then again, once again, Uhura's
Nichelle Nichols
was one of the most
gorgeous women.
beautiful women of all time on television.
Rest in peace, incidentally.
Rest in
Like,
peace.
His rant.
Absolute
his rant
loss.
from Timelines. Look, it's not bad, but it is. I don't know.
She looked like she's wearing like a gingerbread, like
Yeah.
like putty. It's weird. I don't know.
Okay, Kirk
Take
or
that
Spock?
away.
Who wore it best? I think they're the only two contenders.
It's cold like her soul. I actually have to give it to Kirk here. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for Kirk. Wow. Would you like to know the shocking score this one got? It got a 2. Actually, I didn't rate it. It got a 2, a whole 2. I just realised I didn't rate the Kelvin one. So
Wait, did we not give a variant score? Like, what was the variant score?
oh no, we haven't given a variant score. You're quite right. We haven't done variant. I just wrote 0 automatically. Force of habit.
No, there are variants here.
Okay, there are some.
I'll
variants.
give it a 2 for variants, actually.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they're all bad, most of them, but the Admiral variant works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2. Okay, we were generous with the 2. Oh, in which case it got a 4. We got a 4 for this then. It's our
Nothing's
lowest
going to get
rated,
worse than
which
this. I feel like there's nothing.
to the surprise of no one. Right. Okay. Coming on to, I think, possibly most people's favourites.
I never realised, why is Kirk just wearing a fucking 70s Seiko digital watch?
Oh, is he? Oh, he is, isn't he?
Because he loves antiques. You know, he has a fondness for antiques.
It's space time. What do you think?
It's
What's
a
the time in space, Mr.
1983
Cook?
Rolex.
Right. Okay. Moving on to
Flash resistant.
the Wrath of Khan through to Undiscovered Country and a little bit further as well, but we'll get to that in a minute. These uniforms, the ones that defined what people could look good in films. I'm just going to call these
5, 5, 5, 5, 5.
Thought you might be saying that. Practicality. I think they're very practical.
Okay, this is the one time I do actually have to dock them.
Ooh, go on.
Because I was actually thinking about these uniforms when I said practicality. Because these are incredible. They are a visual statement. They are all the hallmarks of a well-produced production where everyone is talking to each other about what the themes of the movie are and how we want it to feel and what we want people to think when they look at the screen. There is no consideration for how someone would get through a Jeffries tube in one of these things. There are so many epaulettes. You've got a belt. You've got bell bottoms. You've got all your freaking little trinkly bits. You're going to go through a Jeffries tube. One junction later, you've lost half the uniform.
That's why the lower ranks are in jumpsuit stars. Because bridge crew are not supposed to be climbing through the Jeffries tubes.
But what about when...
And yet, what do Kirk and Spock do when they have to get from C deck up to the bridge?
Yeah, also Spock and McCoy when they do the torpedo, and also Kirk in the Enterprise B when he goes and sort of has to get in the rough and do his magic on the thing. Sorry, technobabble's evading me today.
But those are extreme situations.
When is ever a good situation?
That's
to
not
be
your
in a Jeffries
day-to-day.
tube?
That's not your day-to-day activities in space being attacked by enemies.
Sorry, but if you've designed a daily use uniform where you can't go into a Jeffries tube, something that makes up probably 40% of your ship's infrastructure?
Wait, were we wrong about the motion picture? Is that the most practical?
Clearly they were able to go to Jeffries tubes because we saw them easily walking through Jeffries tubes in these uniforms.
I think very practical. I think they do a lot with the belt, and they do a lot with the utility uniform you see there that Scotty tends to wear. Lots of pockets, lots of actual practical uses there. I think the whole climbing through Jeffries tubes is something they didn't do on that starship very much as they do in later series, so I think it wasn't designed as the way, so I don't know where I'd sit. I'd probably sit on a 4 for practicality, but...
I'm going to dock it a single point just for that. It's got to be a 4. I know we want to give this top marks and everything, but on practicality...
I'm so much cooler now. I've lost so much... The airflow that this allows is fantastic. Say I'm an enemy and I've taken over your ship and I want a little bit of flair. I can wrap this jacket around my shoulders while I'm sitting in my enemy command chair. Say I'm a dying ensign on my first voyage, and I want to leave a reminder to my commander. I can put a little red handprint here. There's so many options with this uniform. It's incredibly practical.
It's a 4 on practicality. I'm sorry, Shy.
However, for style, which is all your points you just said,
5. Absolutely
a 5. This is probably one of the best looking uniforms they've ever done.
This is the only time I can really think of where it's all one color, it's all red, but I can't fault it. It always looks good. There is not a starship made, there is not a planetary set, there is not a space station where this does not look fly as fuck, and it's not dated. I look at that and I think that is from the future. That is the future version of a military uniform. It's perfect. Whoever was I apologize, I don't know the costume designer name, but they did
Robert Spencer, I believe was his name.
Incredible work.
Yeah.
No one looks bad in this. I especially love Scotty's engineering captain uniform that he wears in Star Trek 3, where it's got more of that kind of that felt sort of different finish to it, but it kind of suits him. It has almost a smoking jacket look to it. Everyone looks good in this. Everyone. So good.
Yeah, it's a 5. Yeah, easy a 5. The easiest 5 I think we've ever had to give. Continuity, however, is a bit of a... There is no uniform like this in any other Star Trek franchise, with possible exception of Discovery Season 4, which does share some commonality to it.
But look at the undershirt and the trapunto collar.
Yes. So you're saying this
what
is the
does that
updated
remind
motion
you
picture.
of? What does it remind you of the collar on the turtleneck?
Oh, that's true. Yes,
the cage uniforms.
Okay.
And also, the DS9 Voyager uniforms also have a very similar turtleneck that would go underneath the uniform.
So, that's edged up to a 2, but convince me this isn't
You have like a little
But
a band.
sleeve insignia.
does it also not get points for continuity for the fact that they didn't change it for 80 years?
Maybe.
This uniform is a
Right,
continuity all of its own.
We'll give
Yeah,
it.
this is the
true.
Excelsior class of uniforms. The Monster
Yeah.
Maroon.
It lasted for 80 years. There's a
really
reason. It's perfect. It's perfect. You can't iterate on perfection.
True. I could be persuaded to a 4. I wouldn't give it perfection for content. Maybe even a 3. I don't know.
Shy.
What
Should we outvote him with a 5?
I say 5.
I 5.
But look,
Sorry.
again, I'm
Democracy.
bringing back my earlier point of the continuity. They literally reused the horrible costumes from the motion picture. They did
fact,
3
you know
dye
what?
tests.
It's not this movie's fault for lack of continuity. It's the previous movie's fault for having shitty uniforms.
Yeah. Bit of trivia for any viewers who don't know this. They did 3 dye tests on the uniforms, and the 3 colors that came out were like blue, gray, like muddled gold, and then the Monster Maroon red. And they went with the Monster Maroon red.
Yeah,
It was the right choice.
The best one.
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, how about variants?
Oh boy, there are so many, and they're all good. Like I love Scotty's engineering jacket. I really enjoyed the EV suit, engineering jumpsuit, which was also a holdover from the motion picture. I fucking love the expedition jackets. The collars may be massive,
They are very good.
but in terms of I like that more than the Strange New Worlds or Discovery tactical uniforms. I think it just I look at that and I'm like, I could wear that on any planet and I'd be comfortable. That is perfect field gear. And it's so stylish. There's a reason you have to pay so much fucking Latinum or whatever it is in Star Trek Online to get it, because everyone wants it.
Okay, now
Oh, is that true? I don't play that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
the
have to
fact that
pass through the
Scotty's-
nose a special yeah.
I got it as a
Suddenly,
pre-order bonus, couldn't
radiation is a real thing.
Yeah.
Radiation's a real thing
it's
in this
real when we
universe,
care.
right? Like the engineers actually have radiation suits.
it? Yes. Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 points against here. Now, this one, I'll save this one for last, but there are 2 variants I would like to especially point out. One of which is the TNG variant, which is pretty much the same thing, but without the collar, but with the TNG badge on, which implies that all the way up to Stargazer era, early 2300s, this uniform was in service. So even seeing Picard wearing it a few times. So
Yeah.
I'd say this is the one variant where we know the story. They lost the undershirt, didn't they? They couldn't find it, or it didn't fit, or something like that. So that's why they're not have it. That's why the Enterprise C crew don't have it.
Yeah. Another story from the wardrobe department on this movie is that the Trapunto collars, they only had one needle for the 160-year-old machine
Oh wow!
to make those collars.
Really?
And the costume
Wow.
designer would literally take it home with him every single night because he was afraid of it getting lost
Wow.
or stolen.
And they could make another one. That's mad.
I think you have to do it by hand.
In the 80s, it probably was a lot harder to get hold of replacement parts like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't love the Enterprise C or the Jack Crusher variant as it would be. That being said, I don't hold that against the uniform. It's just a case of the TNG costume. I just couldn't think of a good intermediary thing. I also have to counteract you with when Racing Liners was on the show, she reminded us this has 9 distinct uniform operation division colors, which is
that's
incredible. You've also got McCoy's cool doctor jacket that he wears in Wrath of Khan. I love Kirk's vest option. That was the original captain's vest, which was later iterated on in other uniforms. This has so much versatility and so many. I can't fault it at all.
Now, slight Strange New
it's
Worlds.
incredibly practical.
It is. Now, slight Strange New World spoiler here. Visual spoiler for those that haven't seen the finale. We won't say why this happens, but this is a visual spoiler for something that happens in the last episode of Strange New Worlds. If you have not seen it, avert your eyes now. Maybe go take a break for 15 minutes and then come back. But this happens, much to the shocker for everyone. We see Pike in the Monster Maroons. Now, Shai, you have a few things to say about this, because I imagine when we all first saw it, we were all like, oh, wow, look at that. But you weren't as keen.
Yeah, why try to improve upon perfection? Like the cut on the collar here is way too diagonal, and that forces the white to be longer. It feels like it's just stretching. It feels like it's unfit. They've added this weird leatherized texture on the sleeves and the shoulders. Just doesn't work for me, and I would have loved to have seen Mount in classic Monster Maroon. I mean, part of the appeal of Monster Maroon is that it's using traditional like suiting material, so it has that clean line that appeals to a modern eye. This just feels it's putting.
What I will say is a mitigating factor for me is the fact that this is more of an this isn't really a design issue. Like the pleathering, I can go like backwards forwards. It's mostly just to keep continuity with the Strange New Worlds variant of the TOS uniforms. If you look at the concept art for this scene, he looks like Kirk on the right. This is a tailoring issue. Like stuff like the longer strap, the like that is all tailoring. Like straight up, someone just messed up a little bit and they couldn't get the strap the right length. They couldn't get this just quite right. Because if you look at the concept art, it was envisioned as looking exactly like the TOS thing, just with the pleathering. Which, you know, I can understand not liking. It's a kind of an unnecessary touch, but
I mean,
I have to hold at least part of the tailoring, which is not a thing I say often about new Star Trek.
That's a choice. I feel like that the angle.
No, let me see if I can find the concept art.
Would you? How many points would you dock for it, Shai? Like, we're taking all this in for variants. What score would you give?
Well, are we?
Like, we're talking variants.
What score would I give for the Monster Maroon variant?
Yes.
Well, I'm not going to hurt the Monster Maroon because of this bad interpretation of the variant. I mean, look, the Monster Maroons didn't fit great in Star Trek Generations either, but this is a 5. It's a 5 for variants.
Stars.
I mean, also
it's a 5.
I'm curious.
Easy.
I'm curious what your opinions are. Do you like the color differences, like for rank on the?
I'm not as keen,
turtlenecks?
only because it's really hard to notice unless you're paying attention. Because like for years and years, I always assumed they're all the same uniform, and I thought, okay, they've all just standardized. Like there's no way of telling divisions on it. Maybe it was something on the braid until it was. I think I went through Memory Alpha one day, and it was just like, oh, actually no, they are different colors, and I've just got that Shy. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've just sent you the.
White, but it's interesting.
Yeah, the white has the best pop. I don't mind the green on McCoy because again, it's a practicality issue. Because I prefer being able to immediately identify a doctor in an emergency. Yeah, so this is the concept art I was talking about. If you look at that and you compare it to what it's meant to look like, that's way more in line with the proper TOS thing, just with the texturing on the sides. Everything else looks basically identical.
Well, had it been that, it would have been great, but it wasn't.
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing. I had to give it points for the fact that the costume was great, the tailoring was just a little bit off. Which, again, not something that usually happens in New Trek. Usually the costuming is impeccable, but just a little bit of an issue. But still, 5 out of 5 for variants. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't think many other uniforms have been iterated on quite so often and almost uniformly with as much success.
That being said, it's a 19. It's our highest rated, so yeah, it's got 3 5 and a 4.
Kirk's Voyage Home jacket is casual wear. That's not a uniform variant.
Ooh.
Right.
Anyway,
he's just a guy who takes his work home with him. He can't. Can't let it go.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about his because in Voyage Home he also wears this weird multicolored tracksuit. It's like that's not Starfleet official gear either.
I completely forgot about that.
Look, if we're talking Voyage Home, when we talk Voyage Home, it's Sulu like running away with it.
Oh yeah,
it's by a country mile. There's
Okay, because we're getting on for time now. We're over 2 hours. Let's move on. The start of the Next Generation, the first early couple of seasons, radicalized the uniform with their no-collared, brightly coloured uniforms and a change in the the division structure: red for command, yellow for engineering, and so forth. So, guys, Strange New Worlds. No, not the original series. The Next Generation, season 1 to 2 uniforms, please.
So, for those of you who are not aware, the reason they swapped the colouring is very simple. they did visual tests with the TOS colors, and quite frankly, Brent Spiner looked weird in the data makeup in red, in blue rather. So they switched it to yellow, and I don't believe that Patrick Stewart and Jonathan Frakes looked quite right in gold, so they decided to switch colors. It's purely a case of visual contrast and working with the makeup.
By the way, quickly to backtrack for a second, who looked best in the Monster Maroons?
That's true.
Oh, ooh, that's hard.
Kirk, maybe.
I go Spock myself, but probably Kirk. Yeah.
Spock has the distinction of making sure to straighten his uniform even when he was dying of radiation poisoning, so I've kind of got to give it to Spock.
All right, we'll go
He
with
took
Spock.
uniform seriously.
Kirk has
Is
the
it
motion
Kirstie
picture.
Alley's? Not Valeris.
Oh,
Valeris does look really. Valeris looks really good in that uniform.
Savick.
Yeah, Savit looks really, and it also has that weird, like, casual wear gown type thing that she wears for that one scene in the elevator.
Right. Another great.
Another variant.
TNG season 1 practicality.
But yeah, TNG.
I'm gonna say these.
Are we separating season 1 from later seasons?
We are.
Yeah,
indeed,
I feel like we
yes.
have to. They are different enough.
Yeah, then 2.
Two, yeah.
Two.
Because, like, these are a lot more jumpsuity, so they would be good for crawling through a Jeffries tube. That being said, the damage, for those of you, again, who don't know, these did lasting damage to Patrick Stewart's back, and I believe he was told by his chiropractor, either you tell them to get a new uniform in that does not strain your back, or you get the fuck off that show. I can only imagine what it was doing to poor Jonathan Frakes, who has a long-standing back injury due to his previous career as a furniture mover, because he's a big man. I also think this highlights the actual biggest issue with zippers. Don't put them on the front, unless you're like a Discovery style, in which case you make it work for the style. This is distracting. The zipper is distracting for these.
Yeah.
Kind
Kind of almost looks like a kind of like a Westworld body assembly kind of thing. It looks like the shell of what could be a uniform to come, or it's like, it looks like the seam on the mannequin doll, doesn't it? It's not as good.
Yeah.
So style. I do like those flared legs.
Yeah.
They're quite nice.
The flared leg and the color accent on the leg, which they eliminated, sadly. I love that. And this is the basic design that worked for the rest of the series. So I have to give this pretty
kind of the
high
rest of the
marks
era
for-
as well, because this is also kind of what they went for DS9 First Contact. They're all kind of remixes on the same essential theme. I'd give it a 3 for style.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'll give it 3.
Sounds like a 3.
It is very 80s.
Continuity. So we're going to go from Wrath of Khan through straight into this with the switch in division colours behind the scenes, reasons not included. It does seem like it's a bit of a leap. And again, the same way the motion picture is like, we're doing something new, so let's do something completely new. And instead of, like, where Discovery did it right is they did it, it was very much an homage. This feels natural. It came from Enterprise into this. This doesn't really feel like they've gone from these very comfortable, very nice looking Wrath of Khan uniforms into, you know what, one-piece jumpsuit. I'd probably mark it down for continuity.
Oddly enough, I feel like the TNG Season 3 onward thing has more continuity with the TOS uniforms than these do, oddly enough, because they are more contiguous. So I'd probably give this... It's probably got to be a 2 for continuity.
2, yeah. They keep the badges.
Oh, no, you know what? I have to give it an
100
extra
years.
point. It is 100 years, you do need to iterate, but I also have to give it a point for that Beetlejuicean temporal agent that appeared in Discovery Season 3. Spoilers.
Yes.
Who appeared from 2379, and they were still wearing this in the Kelvin universe, which I think is one of the coolest, weirdest things they've ever done.
Yeah.
I give it a point for continuity there, so I'll give it a 3.
3.
See you, Cranky. We'll miss you. You can catch us up on later.
See you, Cranky.
Yeah, I'll go 3.
You go 3 as well? Oh, interesting. You guys are more generous than me. All right, variants. No, I think Troy looks really good in this variant, in her variant. Especially these early seasons.
What,
I think
the
that suits
scan?
her well. The scan, yeah.
Let's scan. I thought you meant the purple outfit.
Did I put a picture of the guy in the scan? I did, didn't I? Yes, I did. We have the guy in the scan as well.
I would hope so. That
Yes,
guy's
I
my
do.
guy.
This guy, look, he's got thighs you could only dream of.
I do dream of them. You do get a good few formal dress variants. You get an Admiral or 2. But Oh, and you also get the
Yeah.
engineering jumpsuit, the yellow and the black.
Right.
Oh yeah, that thing, Mike Shimoda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those were like the
And Law is also.
non-enlisted.
Oh yes.
Well, yeah, because Lauren, I think. I think Geordie wore them as well once.
Did he?
Geordie and Leia, when they were crawling around inside the Jeffries tubes. I think I remember seeing him wearing them once. I feel like I'd give it a 3 for variants. Like, you do get a good. It's like you only get for 2 seasons, and if you.
Thank you, Venomous. Sorry, go on.
Oh, yeah, and Bev had a doctor's jacket. We could
Yeah.
talk endlessly about the various things they did to hide Gates and Fadden's brilliancy, but.
I'd probably say
I don't
2
know,
for
I'd give it a
variants.
3, yeah.
There's not a huge amount, I think. Yeah, that's just me though. Shy, deciding vote.
Scan.
Yeah, 2 or 3 for me on variants on these first seasons.
But which one?
Pick
Pick a side.
I'll do 2.
2. Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
The scants don't have it.
Who wore it best?
I'm going to go with an uncontroversial, but I'm going to go controversial, but Yar actually kind of wore this
okay.
alright.
It's
Yeah.
Yar. It's
Yeah,
Yar.
I'd say yeah.
Yeah,
works for
Tasha
me.
wore it pretty well. Worf also to a degree, but he just looks better with the proper baldric, so that kind of counts against
It's better in
it.
yellow as well.
Yeah, Troy is also pretty decent, but Yar for me.
Interestingly, we rated these the same. This is a 10. We rated it the same as we did the Cage uniforms. So, you know. On the same scale
Again,
as
they
that.
are unfinished.
Yeah, they are.
Well, yeah,
unfinished.
much like the Cage, there's an update that needs to happen, and it will
Speaking
largely
of,
fix everything.
TNG season 3 to 7 and various other appearances. Please, I think this is a very
And half of Generations.
a bit of Generations, an appearance in DS9 episodes
Yeah.
sometimes, and Voyager as well. Once I think when
These
Riker
are great.
Yeah.
kind
Yeah,
of like
Worker.
this
And
is
DS,
my
yeah.
this is my iconic TNG outfit. Like, this is the one I always like. When people say, "Oh, the TOS, that's the iconic Starfleet outfit," but I think the TNG for me, just because that's what I grew up with, is what I refer to as like Star Trek. You got all of them there, haven't you?
I've got a few.
Yeah.
Good.
He's a collector. I do love these.
Yeah.
Again, like you say, it's either these are the first contact ones I think of as the Starfleet uniform.
Yeah.
I have a hard time thinking of Command as gold sometimes. Whenever I see it in Strange New Worlds, I'm like, oh, that's classic.
Yeah.
I think of this as the default. I think of Command as red. That's how I think of it. Man, I love the piping around the collar. I feel like that's just a understated, useful thing, and it just adds that bit of visual flair, and it really draws attention to the pips. Like, this is where Discovery kind of had it wrong. There's no visual contrast to really draw attention to the pips, whereas, like, you're never confused who someone's rank is. And TNG is the one that first introduced all the various different Lieutenant Junior grades.
Yeah.
You even had, like, the enlisted stuff, the black pips. It introduced all that system, and yet I was never confused as to who. It's a very simple numeric system indicating who's in command, so Practicality also helps as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I imagine because they added that color pop to the collar, to the Nehru collar, that's why they took away the piping from the leg flare, I would imagine.
Yeah, I kind of wish they'd kept them both,
too
but it would have been a little bit.
It's too much. I get it. I get you don't want to. It's like having a blue and an orange outline on every single piece of artwork. There's other. You just choose one.
How about Practicality? I feel it's definitely more practical in the season 1 and 2 variants, just purely because they're now a 2-piece. It's a little
You
easier
can
to
crawl
use.
through a Jeffries
There's a
tube
lot
in
of times
this.
when you see them undo the jacket, and Ensign Rowe, she takes hers off to give it to someone to keep warm.
Roe does it, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of practical elements you can have on akin to sort of Wrath of Khan, I think.
I give it a 4.
I give it a 4 easy. Yeah, it's not the most practical, but like, yeah, and especially I remember the entire reason these were created is because they are more comfortable for the cast, which I think does have to play into the rating. Like, you can easily imagine someone just wearing this. It's a pair of like smart looking pants and a good uniform jacket. It's not one, and they put the jacker on the back, the zipper on the back, so that you don't notice it often.
We've actually not rated anything a 5 in Practicality yet, so that shows like we
Well,
need more practical.
you didn't.
Okay, style. I'm happy for a 4. I think these look great. I think they're timeless in a way.
What's holding them back from a 5 for you? Because what I love,
I think
and this
it's
is understated,
Okay, go on.
the delta pattern with the cutout on the bottom.
Yeah. Do you know what? never
I felt like
noticed
that's a really strong bit of visual contrast that, like, it flows naturally. It doesn't feel like it's unnecessary. It's just like, oh, it's a Starfleet Delta, even though you have the different style of Delta with the different combat and everything in this era.
These are a 5 for me. These
I'd
are
go for a
to
5.
the
Oh, wow.
new era as the Monster Maroons were to the
It's
original
true.
era.
Very true.
Right? Like they're so iconic, and
They're really bold.
Once they separated the top and the bottom and added a collar to them, they just became like nearly perfect. Aside from having to constantly do a Picard maneuver every time you sat down to get your.
But that's also kind of, I feel like that almost works in their favor because you can use that again to express emotion part of the character. Like Picard is the kind of person who does straighten his jacket. Like everyone talks about in the Wrath of Khan how Spock sharpens up his uniform because that's the kind of character Spock is. If a costume or uniform can help you emote, that makes it a better uniform in my mind.
Yes.
Okay, 5. How about now continuity? I definitely want to give this a 5 for continuity because you actually see it evolving on the screen. Into season 3, you see people wearing the old uniforms and people wearing the new uniforms.
Yeah.
You see how they've gone directly like, oh, we need to upgrade this uniform. Here's how we can iterate on it. It feels like definitely a direct, oh, we've done this, then this. So I would say 5 for continuity.
I would also agree with that. I especially loved the fact that in DS9 they tried to establish that these were Starship uniforms versus Starbase uniforms, which were the DS9 style. Voyager wrecked that, but we're not going to talk about that. That's the thing that will work against that favor. But I think, like, seeing especially Cisco wearing this when he went back to Earth in Season 4, he looked really good in that uniform.
Yeah.
Better than he kind of had any right to. Bashir and Dax looked a little bit weird. Like Bashir especially looked really weird in it, but, like...
Yeah.
That's not, the uniform.
That's Bashir most of season 1 of DS9, though, isn't it? Just really
it's a
weird.
minor miracle that the uniform design actually translated from a 1-piece to a 2-piece. Like that graphic at the waist could have easily just not worked at all, but somehow it did. And I love that it used to be, like as you were saying, that it used to be a division between these are what the Starship people were wearing and this is what the space station people were wearing. Because there's a certain like elite nature to the TNG uniforms. Like, oh, those are the Starship people.
You can see the lower decks conversation happening about they would be having this conversation. This is the kind of conversation we're having on lower decks.
Skycap says it's strange that in the future people use 5 to 10 pads at a time, yet there are no pockets or belt bags at all. I think that's why we knocked it down from 5 in practicality.
I don't think anything's gotten a 5 apart from Enterprise. Even we didn't give it a 5 because like they are designed to be costumes first and uniforms secondary, and so you don't get. More people should just be carrying bags or having fanny packs. Where's my Starfleet issue fanny pack?
That was in the motion picture. That's
what
what
do you
the
mean?
little buckles
They're
on the
holsters.
front.
Everything has a holster. If you need it, it just sticks to the outfit.
In case you need your pad in a hurry. Continuity. I'm saying 5. What are you guys saying?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, 5.
5.
Absolutely impeccable.
Now this is where it might suffer a little bit of variance.
Picard's like a leather jacket.
Suede,
Come on. It's so cool. I am the cool captain.
Yeah, not a ton of variance because once you've you're on syndicated television, so your budget's not great. But they're also perfect the way they are, like season 3. So why change?
Yeah. Oh, the dress uniform is good.
Yeah.
And I'm actually gonna. Do we count it against them that most of the Admiral Uniform variants were not
awful.
Great until they settled onto like the Nechayev version kind of worked.
Nechayev worked, and
that
I
will
think
come up
Admiral
in the,
Ross's DS9 variant, I think, worked really well.
Yeah.
That'll come up when we talk about Admirals, I think. There's so many in TNG Season 1, like they go for about 3 different variants, don't they?
They never settled. I'm trying to think about other notable variants. There aren't a ton. You do get to see Rose undershirt, which is at least it establishes that you don't have to wear a full shirt under that. We get really stuffy real quick.
And they don't have EV suits, do they? Or away team jackets or anything like that. It's pretty much this uniform throughout. I don't think we ever see the TNG EV suit until first contact.
First contact is the first time. Yeah. Wow, that's kind of crazy to think about, isn't it?
It is actually. Yeah. These beam down. I
we just assume that the materials science at this era, like the Fabric does everything, right? Like they're in the desert,
Yeah.
and all he does is put on a head wrap. He doesn't bother taking off his jacket or anything because it adapts.
I feel like we might have to give this a 2 or a 3
I'm
for
thinking
variants,
two.
though, because
There's
it's
just not many.
Yeah.
Again, you can't iterate on perfection, but also you like to have variants. So, what are you guys thinking? 2 or 3?
I think a 2.
I'd say 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2. That was
I
what I
mean,
was going towards.
Crusher's blue jacket doesn't count as a
Yeah.
blue.
Not
leopard,
really,
does it?
no.
Unless I guess we give them the red. The red surgical gown is the one kind of real variant.
See, that's the opposite thing, where it's like, I can't tell if someone's bleeding. That's why I like the Discovery one so much better. It's like, I've nicked a
Everyone's
femoral
eyes are
artery, I
bleeding.
can't tell.
Who
What
wore
did
it
the
best?
Starfleet cadets wear? Oh yeah.
Sorry. Oh no, sorry, go on.
I was trying
We
to
forgot
remember
about
what
the cadets' uniforms, all of Wesley's
the
various
cadets'
different
uniforms.
things.
Again, that's
yeah,
another
like the
conversation.
grey.
There are so
Another
many different
conversation.
uniforms.
Fair.
It will be.
I think
Picard.
it's Picard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Picard. Mr.
Although I do have to stump it out for Worf. I think Worf the Baldric really helped tie his uniform together.
Picard/Worf.
Everyone looked good in this uniform. There was no one that looked bad in it. You could put. Do you remember at the beginning of Remember Me when Crusher goes to grab her old friend, like Dr. Quayle or Quaylen or whatever his name is, and he's
Quace.
like 70. Dalen Quace, that's what it was. I'm glad you remember him because God knows the universe doesn't. And even he's like a 75-year-old actor who's like, I imagine he's probably never seen like the action in Starfleet at all, and even he looks all right in this uniform.
We're gonna go for an everyone on that.
Well, no,
I'd
it's
say
Picard.
Picard. It's
All right,
Picard.
Picard.
It's Picard.
Hastily rewritten notes. Okay, moving on. Oh, by the way, the score was 16 for that. So yeah, not
Strong.
Not as,
Super
not as good as
strong.
Stranger Worlds or TOS, but TOS, TOS. Sorry, reading out loud. Okay, moving on.
Those
Where am
old
I?
scientists.
Those old scientists. The D Space Nine Voyager refresh. The what you call the space station uniforms, as it were, with the
Idol.
Yes.
I want to say I really appreciate you bothering to go to the fact of like getting pictures with all 3 colors. I appreciate it.
That was entirely Memory Alpha. Thank you, Memory Alpha. And
Even
also
still,
thank you, SS.
I appreciate it.
What was the website name I got it from? The ones that have the really cool infographics. Where's my list? S Asterisk Scientia. Go. I'll put the link in chat. They have some amazing galleries for all like starship interiors and things like that. I'll put the link in chat. It's brilliant. That's where I get a lot of the uniform ones from. But yes, DS9 Voyager uniforms.
Now, these were a little bit oversaturated just because 2 shows were using them at the same time.
Right.
I still like them, though. They're very classic. There's maybe a little bit too much black and a little bit too little color,
There's not
but I
enough
still really like them.
flair on them. You've got the colour, your com badge, and your grey inner liner.
Well, they are,
That's
like we
about
talked
it.
about, they're meant to be the utilitarian starbase uniform. Like, these are designed... I look at these and I'm like, you can absolutely go through a Jeffrey's tube in this. This is designed for that.
So practicality. We're thinking a higher score for practicality on this one then.
4 for a practicality, because still no pockets.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give him 4.
4. Okay. Style, I got a docket. I got to say this is a 2 for style.
I
These
got a
are-
docket, yeah.
These are just
2?
2.
No, it's not a 2. You think it's a 2?
They're just dull. They're just
Oh,
You know what, I do have to say, the medical and science blue on this one is more of a green, and I've always thought that kind of counted against it. It wasn't a sharp blue like it is in TOS
No.
or in in Discovery. It's kind of like a queasy green. I was never a massive fan of it.
You're giving it a 2, so you're claiming it's as bad. What did we give the Kelvin?
Oh, we gave that a 2
uniform
as
for
well.
stuff?
Okay, maybe it's not as bad as
Yeah.
that. Or the cage uniform. Maybe
Yeah,
a
I'd give it a
then.
3.
3, okay.
I'd give it a 3 for style.
Talked up to 3. How about continuity? I think continuity is decent.
I mean, if
I'd
you
give
look
it a
at
5,
the
honestly.
yeah, if you look at the Enterprise uniforms, like retroactive continuity, it's completely a 5
Yeah, actually.
because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
that
that makes sense to
exact
me.
same silhouette. Yeah.
Wow, these
And it
guys-
also makes perfect sense as an evolution of the TNG uniform because you've just swapped where the uniform colours are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Variants.
And you have the collar, which I know Shy always rates very highly.
Because they are like, we finally learned. Just gonna go right for the high collar.
People look good in collars. They really do. Variants, I think this is going to be like a 1 because there really aren't any. The only exception I can think of is Balana Torres with her when she was pregnant. When Roxanne Dawson was pregnant, she
She had the engineering jacket,
jacket
yeah.
with all the little tools in her
Well,
belt, so that looked good. But
You're forgetting when Miles rolls up his sleeves. When Miles rolls up his sleeves, variant.
No,
That's a variant,
no.
is it?
Of the uniform.
We're forgetting one of the most important variants of all, the Delta Flyer uniforms.
Oh,
They
well.
are technically variants of this.
Actually, I haven't got them. I
Now-
should have put them in the running, but I didn't.
Are we
put them in.
counting that? Because the Delta
not
Flyer
bad.
uniform is one of the best uniforms Star Trek has ever come up with.
It really is.
I don't know if that
mean-
counts.
These are DS9 Voyager uniforms. They were worn by
Technically-
DS9 Voyager crew on the Voyager.
I guess it is a variant, right? Because it's got the top, the
Has to
white on the
be.
top, and
Yeah.
then gray.
Let me bring it up.
Oh, I hate that. That's true, but what is it?
Hang on, let me find it. Let me find a good image. of the
Because
Delta Flyer.
those Delta Flyer uniforms, we're gonna have to talk about those in depth when we get to do our extreme variants. But good God, they look so good.
They really do. Yeah, this will be again a conversation for weird and outplaced uniforms, but yeah, that's good. But it's
There's absolutely continuity.
yeah. Ooh, who's sending me messages?
But
Sorry.
they've closed the collar. They've given it a hard collar, a superior hard collar on the Delta Flyer.
Man, if
And
we
to
were
get-
rating that, I'd give that a 5 for practicality. That looks ultra practical.
Well, we're not. So anyway, variants for this one.
Normally, I'd agree and say 1. That alone brings it up to a 3.
All right, I can see a 2.
Yeah, but-
It's so strong.
Two.
If-
Okay.
Are we counting the Delta Flyer as part of the DS9
I am.
Voyager?
I'm just
am.
going to say 2 out of principle because there's the blanded Taurus jacket was good enough to bring it up to a 2.
Yeah, it's a
Engineering
2 variant.
Yeah.
Variants on. But,
All right, I'm outvoted. Fair enough.
Who wore it best?
We've got a lot of contenders here. I actually want to say Worf.
Wolf does look good in it.
Worf's not in this. Is he in?
Yeah, he wears
Is
the
he
red.
in the early one? Oh,
Yeah, he is.
Okay,
Way
yeah.
of the Warrior, they're all wearing the pre-movie uniforms, aren't they?
Yeah, because even O'Brien says he looks good in red. It feels good, you know. It's like, and he does look really good in the red after being out of it for after
Yeah.
season 1.
Yeah, it's Worf.
Okay, we'll go Wolf.
Cisco's
Maybe
up there,
Janeway.
but it's Worf.
Janeway though also.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I always thought Janeway suited it.
All right.
Well, are we
that
counting?
was-
Are we counting 7 of 9's outfit as a?
Ooh.
No, that's
no.
a civilian. No,
Yeah.
civilian.
Okay.
No. When 7 of 9's like a time agent, and she's wearing.
Oh,
that does look sharp. We could
She looks
rate.
really good in the blue.
Well, we could rate her, T'Pol, and Kira Nerys in their Starfleet variants, and then rate them separately in a different conversation. Who looks the best in a Starfleet uniform? So,
Right.
okay.
But yeah,
we-
Worf. I'll go with Worf.
We'll go Worf.
is
We'll
a
go Worf.
good,
Okay,
regular
moving
series.
on.
Yeah.
What do we feel about the movie uniforms and later series DS9?
These.
I kind of like them. I really liked them when I first saw them, and for a few years after, and I've kind of soured on them a little bit. But
Nah.
They were at the time. It was like that movement towards everything's got to be grim dark, right? Oh, everything's got to be more black.
This is the era when the X-Men movies came out, and what would you
Yes.
prefer? Yellow spandex? Yeah, it's kind of that movement.
Yeah, it's all the Matrix's fault. Everything's got to be like dark and black. But that aside, they're solid uniform. They're well designed.
how about practicality?
I just think that they pop just like the collar. It really helps draw it all together, and it is incredibly recognized. When we get into continuity, these are incredibly good continuity.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you don't think that collar should just be like a T-shirt with like a little triangle of fabric at the top of the gray?
Okay. How about
Shut up.
practicality?
I'd give it a 4
Tie. Yeah, it's a 4.
because you can easily unzip that, and then suddenly you're in basically a jumpsuit with some pants, and you can just go.
Which Picard
Like,
did
we
in
see them
First
do that.
Contact. He had his
Yeah, exactly, and like.
Yeah.
And when Worf was fighting in the Dominion prison, like he stripped out of the top jacket, and it's like, guess what? That made for a perfectly acceptable fighting variant. Like, I think in terms of practicality, I think it rates quite high.
Yeah.
So 4. Okay. Style. I think they're very military. I don't know if they're stylish.
Yeah,
So here's the
it's-
thing.
it's-
When I got my new 4K TV, I put on 2 movies to see what the visual contrast was like and just like see the ultra detail, right?
Was it the motion
I
picture
put in
twice?
No,
Oh.
I'm not a nerd. that's untrue.
Lies.
I put in Godzilla King of the Monsters because that has an
Nice.
incredible use of color, incredible visual effects. And then I put in First Contact. And let me tell you, these uniforms on a 4K display, they really do just like something about the blacks just seem blacker and the uniforms just seem like they're just like gushing with color.
I mean, if
There's
I
just
didn't
something
want to
about-
not
and
see a uniform, I wouldn't sort of exaggerate the blacks here, but
Well, I think like
it's about the uniform you can't see.
I don't know. I feel like they just work for me, especially because if you take in consideration what the First Contact bridge looks like, they were very evidently designed with the Enterprise E in mind. And in terms of that, like, jiving together, they really worked. I don't think they work quite as well on DS9, but that's the effect of inheriting them from a movie. For me, it's like style is giving me a 4 at least.
I'm going to say 3, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'm 3. We gave Discovery Season 1 uniforms a 4, so these
Yeah.
have to be a 3, because this is way less impactful than the Discovery uniform, so I gotta rank them.
Alright, I'm outvoted.
Continuity, absolutely a 5. Like, this is an era of
5,
Starfleet where they were going in a much more military phase. They had threats from the Borg and the Dominion, and like you say with TV, going a slightly darker, and they managed to take the previous uniforms, the Voyager DS9 ones, and sort of update them with that aesthetic in mind. So I am really happy to say this is a great piece of continuity.
And you also get extra points for having the Bashir changeling trick of having him appear in the DS9 Voyager uniform after they've switched to the First Contact ones. That's always a fun... If you can use the uniforms to tell a story, I'm always in favour of that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Jai? 5? Cool.
5 for continuity?
5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have I lost you?
Variants. I kind of think this had the same problem as the DS9. We seem to have lost Shy. Shy, you there? Are you with us? Blink twice if you're.
Oh no, he's gone into a wormhole.
Oh no!
Time to
again.
impact.
Just send out the probes. Oh, there he is. He's
So,
back.
breaking up a little bit.
There you are. You're back. You're back. Right. Yeah, variants. I think this suffers the same thing as the DS9 Voyager uniforms. There aren't a great many variants. They don't do a lot apart from maybe Picard's Rambo outfit from First Contact.
Well, the Captain's Vest, I quite enjoy that,
I
actually.
don't mind it, but yeah, I think that's one of it doesn't have many variants. There isn't a lot they do.
I think it's a really nice evolution of Kirk's Admiral's jacket from Wrath of Khan. I think it's a nice evolution, which makes sense because they're touching on a lot of the same themes. Yeah, you don't get a lot of variation on this. You do get Zimmerman wearing a lab coat over it every now and then, but that's about as far as you go.
I want to say a 2
Yeah,
as
dress
well.
uniform. Yeah, 2 feels about fair. I feel like we're doing these down. I love these
Maybe,
uniforms.
maybe.
I know, but you set the criteria. Those are the criteria we set for our immaculate, no questions asked. I think that is a 2. Okay, so that's scored exactly the same as the DS9.
Like I feel like we have to.
Oh.
I almost feel like we retroactively have to give the Cage an added point for variance if we're giving the TNG movie era a 2.
Well, you did say 2 with a star. You
more
said 2, but
Variance.
so
than
that's
this,
already. We could put that up to an 11. It won't make a lot of difference in the
Well, I'd say
overall scheme of things.
they. That's the point. They had a 2 with like 1.5,
Oh.
and this movie era only.
Okay, I could say okay. Well,
right.
for the sake of it, I'll
2 is
upgrade the
fine.
Cage to a 3. We'll call that 11. It's still the second worst one in the lot, but never mind. Okay, moving on, and we haven't got much more left. We've got a few more to go.
Oh, hang on. We didn't decide who looks best in
Oh
this.
yeah, who looks best? Riker. No, Cisco.
Worf again?
Cisco.
Oh,
Worf looks really sharp in this.
that's a good pick.
You know what? Dax actually
Troy looks
suits
good in
this.
Yeah.
Uniform. Oh, well. Yes, Dax.
Dax.
Come on, like
Dax,
Terry
of
Farrell
course.
in it. Like she suited this more than the DS9 one. I feel like there's something about her complexion that really suited this. Because God, I'm trying to think of who didn't look good in this. Like O'Brien also, like when he got to like unzip the thing and do his like, oh, I'm the engineer. I've got my engine grease and my elbows out. Like I feel like it really suited him.
I think we'll go with
I don't know,
Andy
everyone
Jackson.
looked good in this.
Yeah.
Everyone looked
Everyone?
good in this.
All right, we'll go everyone. Everyone. Okay.
Geordie's also a good shout because you got to see his eyes for the first time,
That's very true, actually.
which was a big thing.
Nice bit of continuity. Okay. Time to get animated. Let's go Lower Decks. Lower Decks, the first, second, and third season uniforms. They haven't changed it yet. And this is running alongside the movie uniforms as seen in the final episode of season 1 when the Titan swoops in. Spoilers if you've not seen it. What do we think?
These are
I
great.
like them. Originally, when I first saw them, I thought, that's a weird variation. But the more I've seen them, the more they've really grown on me.
The little white trim around the separation between the top and the bottom sections is...
It really helps the
really
contrast. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's it.
Well, because you know what, they're very strongly influenced by the Delta Flyer uniform. They have that, you know,
should be.
they have that high connected collar, like the collar connects.
Yeah.
I think does it connect? Yeah.
Pretty sure it does. I think it's a magnetic, like it seems to be like a magnetic strip almost that like they can just like clip on.
Okay, practicality. I think this probably, again, is a 4. I think a lot of these sort of TNG era uniforms all have the same kind of gait. Like, they have the same sort of approach to accessories on it, in which case there's none.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, I appreciate the Doctor's coat. I love that Tiana has that. Yeah, it's got to be a 4 for practicality because, again, like we see them crawling around in Jeffrey suits all the time. It doesn't seem. I could believe that that's comfortable enough to run around in.
Okay, how about style? Can I give a controversial opinion? I like these more than the TNG outfits. I actually do.
But these are a
Really?
Variation of the TNG
Yeah, but I mean,
outfits.
all uniforms are variations on various uniforms. Like, but I think I like these better. There's a little bit more going on. I like the cut. I like you've got the Wrath of Khan cutaway. I like you've got the white trim.
Yeah.
I think you've got the bands around the bottoms of the legs as well. They come back. I think they kind of take a little bit of everything out of what was missing from the TNG and kind of mix it up with the best parts of what's come before.
You know what? I do
it's,
have to give them points. You get the sailor trim and you get the collar
homage
contrast.
to the entire franchise. Oh,
Kind of, yeah, I could see that.
Man,
Shai's gonna
Shai
go.
is literally fading into the Kelvin universe. He's like slowly desyncing with
He's
us.
being taken back, yeah.
Cold is about to kill you, Idol. He
I
can't
know
believe
he
you
is.
come out with these opinions.
Henceforth, I'd like to rate it as a 5. I want to know what you guys think. The style.
am I back?
You are here.
Can
You are
hear
with
me?
You
us.
are back.
Okay, I was going to say that these costumes, if you look at them, it's appropriate to the show because Lower Decks is just one long homage to the rest of the franchise. And these uniforms contain a little bit of pretty much every other uniform on every franchise.
Yeah.
Right? Like the top level is the Voyager DS9 cut. They have, of course, the TN cut. They have the Wrath of Khan double-breasted crossover connection. It's,
You even have the
they're
Discovery
really
style
nice.
boots
They're
with the
nice
different
uniforms.
colouring and the heels, like how they look.
Yeah.
I'd give it a 4 for style, but that's no, I can't give them 5.
I've got to give it a 5. Shy?
I give it a 4 as well because it is ultimately derivative of every other series. So.
Robbed.
Yeah.
Stolen.
It's a really nice synthesis of everything else, but it is not in and of itself an amazing stylistic statement. I feel like is the problem.
Continuity, though. It's
Oh,
there.
5.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
5.
Absolutely. Like
5. Because they're
Incredible.
literally referencing every other show.
Yeah. Point made.
like I said, it's the perfect synthesis, and they just
Yeah.
I look at that and I immediately know what it is. I immediately know Starfleet Uniform. And also, like, I just appreciate it, like the visual contrast on the colors is so strong for these, and I appreciate that. It's so easy to make the red, the blue, and the yellow look like muted or not pop as much, but these ones, like you look at them and it's like, oh man, these, especially for animation, you need that. You need that high visual contrast for high frenetic things, so you know exactly who each individual characters are. Like that's why you have almost everyone from a different division, apart from Boimler and Mariner both being command.
How about variants? Because it's only had 2 seasons. We haven't seen a lot of variation apart from maybe Ta'ana's lab coat. I think this is probably where it scores least. I don't think we've seen a lot.
Well, they have a
Yeah.
formal. They have a dress formal uniform.
Yeah.
No, they have formal whites.
Yeah. You can unclip it a little bit. You see Mariner do that in the very first episode, which I thought was nice. You get to see it buttoned down a little bit. There's not a lot going on with it, really. I do have to give points for Carol Freeman's Ritos shirt, which is a reference to the disco
The
shirt.
disco one, yeah.
I love that so much. I feel that's a retroactive point in favor of Discovery's variants.
Nice.
I love the Discovery the shirts; they're hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I give it a 1. It's...
Yeah, as much as I love it, there isn't a lot going on variant-wise at the moment. Shy?
I mean, it has that animation thing. It has that animation thing where the characters appear in the same outfits every single time.
Yeah, which is
Because
even
it's
worse
just
because then
easier to draw,
there's
right?
no budget that stops
So-
them doing more. That's the thing. So I think a 1. This sounds about right. Okay, who looks the best?
Tendi.
Cannot say Tendi.
There's just something about her complexion
Dark.
and her character design that just pops really nicely. Drink.
I would say Ta'ana, but
Tana's strong.
Tana's
The
good.
Doctor's coat gives a nice
because of the lab jacket.
It works in a silhouette. Yeah.
I'll say Ta'ana as well. We don't see many Cations, and I like to see a Cation that actually looks good in a uniform. I don't think.
What are you saying
uniforms
that the
in Taz-
Voyage
just thinking Taz.
Voyage Home you see occasion?
Yeah, maybe. Just about very briefly. Yeah, Tana. Okay, because we have
Nerds.
time considerations. Let's move on. We're going to skip that one, and we're going to go. Slight spoilers for the end of Prodigy, but not only uniform-wise. They get a uniform at the end of Prodigy. So these are the Prodigy cadet uniforms, as it were, and we also see a version of hologram Janeway wearing one. I'm not as keen on these. They're okay, but let's talk about... because they don't have a uniform for the whole scene. Janeway has one, but it's pretty much the same as the Voyager uniform. Slightly different in areas, but it's not worth rating. But these ones are the ones they went, right, this is the updated. You kids are now in command of the starship. Have a uniform. I think Stars, you're seeing this for the first time.
Yeah, I watched the first 4 episodes of Prodigy a little ways ago, and this isn't really a
Super,
spoiler. I knew that they got
Star
on
Trek
these,
uniform.
but yeah,
Sorry.
these don't feel.
But I do like they've
These
given
remind
one
me
to
of the
Zero as
USS Kelvin. Yeah.
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 So these are
Feel a
jumpsuits.
little bit
No,
Babylon 5-ish to me.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't
So-
love it.
Yeah,
I really don't love it.
Yeah, these are more like jumpsuits. These like the onesie kind of going back to that kind of era. So what I have noticed as well, they have got stripes on the collars, but they don't seem to indicate rank. I don't think there is any indication of rank anywhere on the uniform other than maybe James.
Well, they're cadets, right?
Yeah,
So
they're cadets. So,
Yeah,
would
they're
this
all
count as a cadet uniform? Should we be rating this? This is a cadet uniform, isn't it?
we'll do it anyway. We're
Okay,
here.
We're here. Practicality. I want to. Well, seeing as we gave things like what was it? What was the other onesie? Like the
DS9?
Next Generation, it was a 2, and this kind of fits in the early Next Generation, the season 1 and 2. This kind of fits into that kind of lean. I think they're not.
It's a bit more
great.
practical than that. I'd give it a 3 for practicality. The grey and the whitish grey, that's going to get stained real quickly.
I can see 3.
I'm so concerned about like state.
It's important. You don't want to get plasma coolant stains all over your uniform when the captain's going to walk by. It's just like, that's something, the kind of thing the Boimler worries about, so it's something you should be worrying about.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Prodigy. Prodigy's really good. I think it's worth anyone's time. But for style, I think these aren't very good. I think for style, I want to say a 2.
No.
They've made some attempts there, but it's
Yeah. Nah.
it's like the opposing team in the Delta Flyers episode in Drive. Like it's something they would wear. An alien off the background.
Yeah.
We've got some old bits of fabric lying around.
I think Shios, they don't really feel like Starfleet uniforms. They just you don't get that high visual contrast. Even with how weird cadet uniforms can sometimes get, you usually at least get a visual contrast. This, not really.
Maybe for the next season.
I give it like
Two's
a
right. Two's accurate.
yeah.
2.
A
Okay.
2 is a 2 for style. Yeah.
Continuity. There's a little bit of continuity how they keep like the the color at the top and down the bottom, and you've got the like you say you've got the little bit of the delta, but that's about it. I'll probably give it a 2 for continuity, maybe. Janeway's looks a little better for that kind of thing, but
The lack of colours doesn't scream continuity for me. This feels like I know it's meant to be a cadet uniform, but no.
for a show that's incredibly colourful, like the visuals in like when they're flying around in space, like it's incredible to look at. Like they really spent the money there. For then they had to go have these kind of drab uniforms, a bit like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping we'll transition into actual proper division colours, because division colours are just the way to go. It's always the way to go. We're going to talk about this in a little bit with another future uniform. But,
And variants, we haven't seen any, but I'll just give it a 1 for the sake that we haven't seen one.
You don't get anti-points.
No, you don't. Yeah. Who looks best? 0?
Janeway.
Chainway. Oh, yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Oh, you know what? Dahl. Dahl
one.
actually looks...
No one.
No, Dahl looks good. Dahl looks good. We'll give it to Dahl. All right, this
Like,
score...
Dahl has like the kind of the shoulder figure to make it work.
Do you know what? This scored the same... Oh, no, hang on. What did we give TMP? Oh, we gave 4. It's okay. It didn't score as bad as that. It scored an 8. We're not as keen.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Well, there's a
now-
lot of the same problems in terms of the lack of colour.
It does. Now, the 2285 Picard Star Trek uniform, Starfleet uniforms.
Oh, I forgot about these.
Yeah,
Yeah, these are great. This is a great update.
I
definitely.
do like these actually.
I like
not
these
as much
more
as
than-
$23.99,
I
but
prefer these to those, actually, to be
Really?
fair.
Okay.
Yeah. I felt the
Well, we'll have a
23.99 ones
concept.
were more derivative of Voyager uniforms. I thought they're like, oh, they've just gone back and done that again with a different collar. But these I actually like more.
okay. So practicality. How do we feel about these? I feel like
It's a 4. It's
I'm
another
not sure about the
2-piece.
shoulders. Is it a 2-piece? Oh yeah, I can see
it's
the
a 2-piece,
Raffi
yeah.
the jacket. Yeah, I give it a 4 for practicality. That's practical enough, and I like that we got to see an Admiral Variant straight out the gate.
How about style? Is this on the next page? No, it's not. Yes, it is. There we go. Yeah. How about style?
I feel like the black contrast with the broken up shoulders, I feel like that's a little bit too much.
Do you think? I quite like that. It adds a little depth to the trim. The same reason I like the lower decks uniforms, having that white border. I feel like that adds a little... It's eye-catching.
I feel like if it were white, it would be way better at achieving that. But having just black, yellow, like I feel like that's just too busy. Either go solid colors or don't bother, in my opinion. But
Yeah, I'd give it a 3.
3.
I'd be
I
okay
like
with a
it,
3.
but I think it's derivative, so yeah.
Okay, continuity.
But that helps it in continuity. So 4.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4.
yeah.
It makes sense with the ones either side of it in terms of the lower decks. In fact, if you look at lower decks, there's actually a surprising amount of continuity considering the fact they were made. They must have been talking with each other about this because there's actually a decent amount of
I mean, this is the era where we were going to have like 15 different Starfleet uniform redesigns. So, like,
every year there's a new one. Yeah,
variance is going to be a 0. We see none. We only see these 2.
No.
So.
you get an
I suppose-
Admiral Variant.
Oh, I suppose
straight
Alright,
out the gate.
It's a 2 then.
And you also see Rios wear one, correct? In one of the
in a
pictures of
picture,
him. Yeah. So you get a point for that. I give it 1 point.
1 point. Shy.
Yeah.
Cool. Who
a
looked
one.
best? I've got to say it's probably Picard.
Yeah, it's a 1.
I'd probably put it down. Actually, I kind of like Raffi like this. I think the yellow really suits her.
Raffi? Raffi.
I'd go Raffi.
Raffi.
Yeah, I think the yellow actually works better with this design than the red does because it pops more.
Yeah, the red
you got
isn't
me
as
saying-
bright. It's a bit more of a maroon. You're welcome. Yeah, and I usually like the maroon, but I feel like it just kind of is a bit more muted, especially with that layering of the colors. I feel like you can't have a muted color and busy color coordination. I don't feel like that works.
Okay, how about the... that got a 12, by the way. So how about... And I'm going to see... This is going to be the wrong order. Sorry, I did promise I'd try to do this. The 2399 uniforms.
These are... You're talking about derivative. These are derivative.
Very much.
I remember them looking better on people.
Yeah, hang on, let me bring up... the man himself, Zheng-He Riker.
See, that looks better than the drawings.
Yeah.
To me.
I think worn they work better, but I remember, as I said before, I remember seeing them and thinking, this is just another Voyager uniform. This is another early DS9 uniform. I'll just call them Voyagers from now on. But it's just like they've just done it again. There's no real substantial reason to do it other than to go like, oh, people remember what Starfleet uniforms look like.
It's just not very visually distinct. I mean, there's a few nice little touches, but yeah.
Practicality is another 2-piece, so like, I'd say it's another 4. I can't think of any other reason. It's got the zip at the front, so it doesn't
point in its favour.
What about style? So this is kind of going to be the one that divides us. I want to say it's a 3 on style. What did I give the DS9 ones? Yeah, I'd probably say it's about the same as that.
I appreciate the flowing collar. I feel like that's a nice accentuator. I feel like that's a little bit stylish. Again, I'm not a massive fan of low contrast red. I want my red to pop, thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
So 3 probably for me.
Yeah.
Jonathan Frakes should look like he's wearing someone's blood on his chest.
3 for you as well, Shy?
Yeah, they were trying to like harken to the monster maroon, and so yeah, I'd go 3 here. How bad is my connection here?
You're okay. You're in and out.
You're dropping in and out. It's
continuity probably a 4, maybe a 3 because it's
no. It's got to be at least a 4 because you've got the Enterprise style rank pips.
Yeah,
they're not arranged like TNG. They've gone back to the Enterprise style, which I kind of appreciate actually. And you get added points for this being around about the point where all good things is set, and you've got the all good things combat.
That's true. Yeah, that's always good. That's also somewhere else in Prodigy as well, which I won't spoil. But so what are we on? What are we on? Continuity. 4. 4 makes sense. You can tell how excited we were to talk about the TOS stuff, and now we're just like, here's a 4. There's a 4. Very analytic.
There's just a lot of variants that aren't too visually distinct at the moment. Yeah,
variants. Yeah, don't think so. 4 for that. And again, variants on this one. I don't think we see any variants. I think even Commodore O is wearing the exact same one. So I think that's probably a 0 in variants. It has to be. We've got to give something a 0 in this.
No anti-zero. No, there's no anti-variants though. There's nothing that looks terrible.
What do you think, Shy?
Like 0 has to be abysmal. Like it can't be just there are no variants. That has to be anti-variants.
Sorry, 1 then.
Yeah.
Does this uniform appear in season 2 of Picard?
No, that's a different one. We're going to get to that in a minute.
They changed uniforms 3 times in 15 years.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Well, I mean, yeah, that is canon. Starfleet loves to change their uniforms.
Yeah.
So it's a 1. It's a 1.
And who looked best? And why is it Riker?
It isn't actually.
Is it not? Ooh.
I have an unconventional pick. Shy, who would you pick?
I mean, I would have said Riker, but mainly because of the hair work. But but you tell me what your unconventional pick is.
Narissa.
Oh, Rizzo.
When she's in her guise as Lieutenant Rizzo. It's a bit of that Raffi effect where the yellow in this one pops works. And I know there's something about the severity of how she looks. It almost seems like it was tailored for her, which is really odd considering the fact that she's like a second-tier villain to O and not as important a character as Riker, really, in the grand scheme of things. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, look at that. Like, she wears it really well. There's something very upright and... It feels like it was made for her. Like, she wears it the best, I feel.
Traitorous Romulan ass.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with Rizzo on that one.
I agree with you on that one.
Okay, right. Moving on. I had to turn a page. I filled up my page, but that was a 12 we gave that one, so we're getting some variable rankings. Okay, the Picard Season 2 2401 uniforms. Right, so I've got to make a column here. Okay, what was the practicality?
So this is an example, I feel like, of how subtle differences can make a big difference. I kind of like these. This is my first time really looking at them and think I haven't seen Picard Season 2, but these look nice.
we got that one, and we got the one on... It doesn't look quite as good on Rios, I think. I think Raffi really wears it well when we come to that one. I think Raffi's got the edge on that. I think Practicality, again, it's got to be another 4. There's no real difference. Again, it's another 2-piece
Does that
uniform.
unbutton?
It
Do you
does
get the
unbutton,
monster
yeah.
rune effect?
Yeah. It's,
I don't know. I feel like that's easily a 4. Anything that's got that going on, I appreciate it.
It's a 4. That's
Yeah, I think I prefer the flashback uniform in season.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
is.
Style-wise, I half like it and half don't. It's again the same problem with the 23.99 ones. It's derivative of like what you said about the lower decks uniform, Shies. Like there's little bits of everything in here. You've got the first contact collars with the pips on the collar. You've got the wraparound. You've got the sort of Voyager style, positioning of the colors and things like that. It's I want to say
I feel like it really hurts not having a. You should have a white there, like what they learnt with lower decks to have the white contrast for the divider. They didn't do here, and I feel like it does hurt the overall uniform. I'd give this a 3 for style.
I kind of think 3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah. Continuity. I mean,
5, honestly. Like, it's really continuous with DS9, Voyager, Libercard Season 1, both the flashback and the 23.99.
I think this is
and
a bit
lower
of a false
decks.
score, isn't it?
That's
Because
a
they
weird.
Did it, they did it. So they've replaced these uniforms so many times in the short span of time. It's like, well, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And variants, I think it's got to be a 1 because we didn't see any variants. We
Yeah,
literally
absolutely.
there's no dress uniform. We saw these for like 2 episodes.
There's the cadet version. There's the cadet uniform.
True. They're not that much different, I don't think.
And isn't Picard wearing like a? Is Picard's like black suit,
his Admiral one?
an actual form? Yeah.
I don't know. Actually,
What?
I don't.
Is that a
I think
formal
it might be
Starfleet thing, or is it just a suit?
I'm not
We
sure.
also
the
don't
suits
know
that
if
he's wearing.
the Season 3 uniforms that Geordie and Worf are wearing are proper variants or not.
Yeah, we're not including them today. We don't know. We haven't seen them in motion.
Yeah.
It's not aired yet.
Not
Okay.
yet.
Okay, we have two more uniforms to go through. It's been longer than I thought. I thought we'd just be like, it's great, move along. It's great, move along. I was wondering if we could struggle with time here. I'm going to have to go back a little bit and let's talk about the horrible greys of the Season 3 rank uniforms that Discovery used at the end. But Discovery, luckily, they kept to their uniforms for most of that season until the very end. But
I was talking to my boyfriend Brody about this, and I said, these uniforms are an example of they gave these to the supporting characters in Federation headquarters, like Willa and Vance, and they look good. Vance's the Admiral variant, especially, I think, is actually quite nice. And then they put them in there at the end of Season 3, and I bet you the very fucking instant they had them all lined up in that uniform, they were like, oh no.
yeah.
Oh, this looks horrible. Like, a combination of weak colouring on the stripes, the grey on a metallic background, just no. The instant I saw it, I was like, please don't let these be the new uniforms going forward. And I bet the retroactive continuity is giving me like, there's some kind of formal uniform that they were wearing just for this ceremony. I hate these uniforms. They look so bad.
they're not great.
And even worse than the asymmetrical collar we were talking about that irked you guys with the Disco Prize and Discovery ones, I fucking don't like that asymmetrical shirt rim. I hate that. Yeah. What is that for? That looks awful.
Yeah, these are super Babylon 5 derivative. I was saying the Prodigy ones felt a little they look like Babylon 5 uniforms. And in part it was because of the tailoring. I think Sonequa Martin Green was pregnant at this point when they shot this scene. So I don't think
There's a
the
lot of
tailoring on her
hiding going
jacket's
on there.
particularly good. So it's just they're just a miss, which is unusual because Discovery's costume department is excellent. Usually awesome.
I really do feel like they had it work on Willa and Vance, and they were like, this is good, we can do this. And then it was literally just a case of the instant you put it on everyone, you have them all lined up, you immediately realize how much of a mistake it was.
Yeah.
They're fine moderation.
Bridge, that bridge is the same color as the uniform, so it completely...
Yeah.
So practicality, I think we have to score it a little bit lower because I don't think these are very practical uniforms. There's too much wafting going on. They're like almost like half scans, half like uniforms. There's not much you can do with them, and they don't seem like a pain
I
to
bet
get
you
in,
that
but-
little shirt rim that's like dangling, that gets caught on shit all the time
Yeah.
in Jeffrey's tubes, I bet you.
I want to say a 2.
I give it a 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2's
Yeah,
easy.
2.
Style.
I'm gonna rip these to shreds.
Style's a 1.
0, man. There's no style
it's a
going
1.
on here.
1. I'd say
Really?
1. Little.
The grey?
They're not worse than the TMP uniforms.
I don't know, man. The TMP uniforms were at least multicolored.
Is this where we
You at
can
least
turn
had
around and
different-
go, actually, these are the best uniforms?
I
I'd say
hate these
1.
more
I'd
than the
say 1.
TMP ones. I hate these more than TMP.
Oh, wow. I mean, I like them more than TMP, but I think they're still bad, so I'd say 1 as well.
I'll settle for a 1, but I wanted a 0.
Continuity is a hard one for this because we're missing like 950 years worth of uniforms to compare to, but I just want to say a 3 because we don't know.
We'll give it a
give it a
3
3,
because we have no context, and there's a lot of continuity with what comes immediately after.
There is indeed. And variants, which there really aren't many. I mean, there are. Well, no, I tell a
1.
lie.
There's the Admiral Variant.
The Admiral Variant, Willa's Variant. Narn has a variant in season 4 because she's wearing them more.
Yeah, I think it's similar as Willa's, right? Yeah.
No, it's a little bit different actually. It's a bit more. It's a bit more brusque. It's a bit more sort of authoritarian, but it works. But so I'd say 2 for variants, maybe 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, we'll give it a 2.
2.
No, 2.
Shy.
I'd say, I guess 2, but
Hard
Let's
to
move
iterate
on, I
on
guess.
boring.
who wore the best?
It's got to be Vance.
I feel like there's a clear answer. Oh, you think it's Vance?
Oh, who are you going to say?
It is Vance.
I was going to say Sahil.
Yeah,
Oh,
actually.
Yeah, I'll go
Yeah.
say. I forgot about
Yeah,
Sahil.
actually, he has the complexion to make it work, I think. And he has a smile as well. That helps.
Does Vance actually have this variant?
Well, it's an
a
Admiral
variant,
variant. It's an Admiral
Oh,
variant,
okay.
yeah.
But
'Cause it
Sahil's
has, like,
wearing
those
the
pleated-
actual,
Yeah.
like
this-
wearing a
this-
closer version. Yeah.
Okay. And the final uniform we will be talking about tonight when I scrub through these images, which you can expect, is the Discovery Season 4's Holy Christ, they found the colour button. Fun fact, actually. I don't know if you noticed it in the previous image, but Tilly had red on her uniform when she should have had
Yeah,
blue.
then they
did
changed
a
that.
really bad CGI touch-up, which like cut out parts of her hair. Is really awful. So I'd probably dock that for continuity. But anyway, these ones. They actually, as soon as I saw that Season 4 trailer and they popped these uniforms, I went, I love them already. Like, these are just...
Yeah.
I don't know why.
This is
so much better.
the TMP Monster Maroon comparison could never be more apt because these are the exact same uniforms dyed a different color. I'm sure they must have redone them, but good God, what a difference it makes!
Yeah.
Good God, these
Maybe.
are amazing.
Maybe that's why they put them in the gray uniforms at the end of season 3, as like a little homage to the transition from.
I wish you
motion
were correct,
picture
but I remember
uniforms.
reading an interview with Gersha Phillips, who does the costuming for Discovery, and she said, "No, we just realized it was a bad contrast."
Yeah.
But they are so
Fuck
nice.
me, these are so good.
They
Every
really
time
are.
I look at them, I'm like, that's so fresh.
Practicality, though, we can't rate them higher than Season 3 because essentially it's the same cut than the Season 3 uniforms.
I'll give them a 4. Yeah, I'll give.
Well, no, we gave them a
Well,
2
no,
for
Don't
practicality.
they
Oh.
jackets? They shorten the hem of the jacket.
Oh, did they?
Oh, did they? Have you got a picture of that idol?
Oh, gosh, hang on. I didn't get a full body image. Hang on. 92nd century.
Yeah, because if that's so, then that was my main complaint, was that would get caught on shit on a Jeffries tube.
Hang on.
But if they've shortened the rim so that it's not as obviously mismatched, then I'm okay with that.
I can't find a good image. Oh, hang on. No.
What about returning Saru? Would he have...
Oh, he might well do. Yes, that's a good point, actually. Yes, let's use in-game art. Why am I just writing that? There we go.
Yeah, they have shortened it.
Okay, let's pull him up. Okay, so it's not sitting over the thing. Okay, well, we can give it a 3 at least, but I still...
I'll give it a 3, yeah.
Yeah, I say a 3.
I'll concede a 3.
They're very stylish. You know what I love the most?
5!
Do you know what I love the most is the collars on the captains. The captains have their own special
The epaulettes.
Collars. My complaint is rank, and the same with the 32nd century ones. You cannot see the rank on anybody. Like, I thought it was on the collar. It's not. It's on the badge, and that is incredibly hard to see.
Well, is it not on the collar and the epaulettes?
No, it's not. Well, the fact you can tell the captain, yes, but for any other officer, you have to look really detailed at the badge to see how many things. The epaulettes on the throat are all the same 3 stripes.
Oh, that's a bit annoying.
Yes.
I didn't realise that.
So that's why I might dock it to a 4. Or mind you, that would be practicality.
No, it's style 5. No. Yeah, no, practicality we already docked. Like, style, like, the rank pipping stuff does not apply to that. It's purely how much of a visual statement does this make. And in terms of Discovery returning to the roots of Star Trek as Wagon Train to the Stars, exploring the frontier, you could not go with a more bold stylistic choice than here are the TOS uniforms, updated, with our own spin on it, go for it. Like, this is such a bold statement. Like, this says a lot. I had to give this a 5 style.
Jai.
I'm giving it a 4. I really like them. The accessories are little Janet Jackson Rhythm Nation for me. Like, it's maybe a little too much metal on the jacket, but and that's me saying I love the Monster Maroon, but the balance is different. But they're really strong, so I give them a 4.
Okay.
They're not as iconic as
It's a 4.
Yeah, we've had them for one season.
I think the ranks.
Okay, fine.
I really do like the look of them, but I feel like there's a few little things that they could just put some pips on the collar, and that would make it for me. I think that would turn it. Continuity is a 5, though. I mean, that is very clearly the next iteration of the.
Because it's not only in continuation with TOS, but also with Discovery Season 3, which, you know, if we gave them points for the Monster Maroon for that, but this is such a. Because that's part of the theme of Season 4, even though I haven't seen it. I know that part of the theme is a return to the Starfleet roots of exploration and getting out there. You couldn't go with a more establishment of, look, Starfleet is going out and exploring strange new worlds than this.
Sure.
And it also gets points for establishing a new continuity, I feel.
Yeah, true. Gotta hope they don't change them in Season 5. Okay, that's a 5.
I also hope not.
I know you haven't watched the series at Stars, but I'm going to say there aren't really any variants. That's the one thing that they don't...
I know there's a formal dress one.
Yes, that is...
which is more of a scarlet.
The formal dress is like an entirely different uniform. It's not derivative
Well,
of this
so
at
is
all.
the formal dress uniform of the TNG one.
That's true. Maybe.
Like, formal dress ones are always very different. That's why they're formal
that's
dress.
The only one.
Doesn't Burnham have a captain's jacket?
Maybe.
Does she?
I don't know.
Yeah, she has like that red leather jacket. I've seen her wearing it in the promo.
I think that's an away team jacket. That's a going away jacket.
Oh, so some kind of variant, huh?
Oh, okay.
No, they do have.
What?
They do have. It's true.
Yeah.
And you also get OO wearing her vest, right? Which is more
That's
of like
true.
a fighting
You
outfit.
get the workout uniforms. Yeah, I suppose. Okay, you see a few different things. Maybe a 3 then for variant.
Give it a 3. Give it a 3.
Yeah.
I will fight everywhere for this uniform to get its due.
Who looked the best, and why is it Saru?
It's Burnham.
Is it Burnham? Is it?
Or is it Culber? Or is it Culber?
Culber's very good. Culber's very good in this. That white is so much better than his season 1 and 2 Discovery one. This just works a lot nicer.
I might have to actually go back and say variance is a 4 on this one because I forgot about their workout outfits that they wear, like when Detmer and Olo are pumping iron in the gym.
Would you changing your school stars?
Let's see, but
No, I like
no,
them.
you
I like the workout
let's,
uniforms.
let's stick with the original.
Okay.
Who looks best in this? I'll go with Saru. But Saru just looks good.
Saru's good.
Spot this.
I'm gonna go with Burnham. I think with
think
the
so as
braid,
well.
with the braids and everything, she pops so good.
Okay.
But everyone looks good, especially the blue. Like Tilly also looks really good in this.
Right, I'm now going to do a count. Right, we're done. We're done. Right, so I'm going to do a count up, and then I will read off the rank of things.
Oh man.
So you guys talk while I'm working this out.
So that's what, 1,000 years of Starfleet history in uniforms?
Pretty much. Okay.
I think we have to
Keep
give
going, keep
points for 2360 to 2400. 40 years, we had, what, 20 uniform variants? They really went nuts, didn't they?
Right.
Yeah, I've always considered it canon. Whenever people are complaining about canon and the uniforms don't match, I'm like, Starfleet clearly changes uniforms every couple months.
Every couple months.
weeks.
They just love it.
Because, replicators and matter synthesizers are just too tempting for Starfleet design vision to just go crazy.
Yeah, no, it's like, what does McCoy say about the sick bay in motion picture? I know engineers, they love to change things, and clearly that goes for Starfleet Command's uniform design as well.
Okay.
I'm also a massive fan of the headcanon that they constantly change uniforms so that time travelers instantly know what decade they're in. I like that. I think that's funny.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Given
so
that
the rankings.
the Department of Temporal Investigations is a thing, I'd appreciate
I've
it.
never heard that.
Yeah, I nearly included the 29th century Braxton uniforms, but I thought you'd just give it an overriding 1 all the way through, Stars.
It's not great. It's fine. It's okay.
Okay.
Are you starting from the bottom or from the
I
top?
will be starting from the worst. So,
Okay.
yeah, no surprise to anyone. At 11th place, there's a few ties on here. The 11th place is the motion picture uniforms, regarded by us as the very worst uniform ever. At 10th place, we have the Kelvin verse openers, the Captain Robot, Chris Hemsworth. That is at 10, alongside the Prodigy uniforms and the 32nd century uniforms, the grey ones, the initial ones. At 9th place, we have the TNG Season 1 and 2 uniforms. I believe that's the only entry there. At 8th place, we have the Cage uniforms. We have... I think that might be the only one there. Hang on a second. Have I done this right? Yes, I have. 8th place, yes. At 8th place, we have the Cage uniforms. At 7th place, the Enterprise uniforms. And the Picard 2399 uniforms. 6th place. I haven't written a 6th. Have I written a 6th? I think I skipped a number. No, I couldn't have done that. Did I
How
skip
do you, of all people, not have a spreadsheet?
It's because I haven't done this in the
spreadsheet,
spreadsheet. I've written
For
this down
this.
on a piece of
You
paper
could have
instead of a
just hit
spreadsheet.
short on.
Well, there's no 6th place, but I'll
I have a
write this up.
spreadsheet.
But at 5th place, so everything up again earlier. At 5th place, there's quite a few at 5th place. The Disco Prize from Season 2 of Discovery, Enterprise uniforms. The Kelvinverse uniforms. The DS9 Voyager uniforms. The movie uniforms also tied with it, as well as the Lower Decks uniforms at 5th place. At 4th place... in 4th place is the 32nd century uniforms, the colourful ones that we all like, that we just reviewed. That at 4th place. At 3rd place, there's a few here. The Discovery uniforms, number 3, alongside the TNG Season 3 to 7 uniforms. In 2nd place, the Strange New Worlds uniforms and the original series uniforms. And at 1st
Feels
place,
appropriate.
with a stonking 19 out of 20 points, the Wrath of Khan uniforms.
That's right.
That's
You're damn
how
right.
you know it is an objectively
Absolutely.
correct ranking.
No one can ever question that in the history of Starfleet ever, in Star Trek ever.
right.
These are canon and
We've proven
canonically the best ones. I'll write these all up, the proper ranks.
Science.
I don't know how I missed out 6.
Science
but
has
there we go.
determined.
Oh my god, we've been doing this
That's
for
right.
3 hours.
Peer reviewed. It's okay.
Next time we'll
I
do
love
less
chatting
uniforms.
with you guys.
It's been great. Thank you for joining us, Shai and Stars. Thank you for joining me for doing that. We'll do
Thank
that
you,
again.
our sleeping audience.
Yes, we hope we've lulled you into wake up. No, we hope we've lulled
right.
you into a nice sleep there. But thank you for joining us. We will see you again in about a week or 2 because I'm on holiday next week, so I'm going away. I will not
Happy
have
holiday.
I'm going to Wales with my children to just not be near my work, so that'll be nice.
Say hello to George and Gracie.
I will. I have something new for tonight as well. I have an outro to the show. I've never had an outro before, so we're going to play the outro.
Oh my
So
goodness.
from myself, from Stars, from Shai, we'll see you later. Ta-ra!